Chapter 176. Loki's scepter has changed, which is a terrible thing, which means that Mind Gem has some unknown reaction. However, Gwen tried to communicate with Mind Gem before, but there was no response at all, so why did she suddenly have it now? Could it be that to make Mind Gem react, you need magic elements, or a strong enough mind and soul power? Chen Hui thought to himself. Thinking about it, his figure moved and came to the storage place of Loki's scepter. Gwen followed closely behind. Chen Hui, what's the matter? Gwen asked. Loki's scepter has changed, I think it should be related to your surge of mental power just now, Chen Hui thought. Gwen, ever since you got in touch with the space gem, I've been thinking, you originally, didn't you? There is a special connection with infinite gems, that's why I asked you to try to communicate with mind gems. The current situation shows that you do have a certain quality of communication with infinite gems, but you want to communicate with infinite gems, but to activate a certain condition. For example, before you communicated with the space gem, you touched my tesseract element, which gave you super ability. For another example, this time, you injected a potion for enhancing mental power, which greatly increased your mental power, which caused a change in mind gem. As Chen Hui said, he opened the place where the Loki scepter was stored. In an exquisite box made of his own vibranium bones, Loki's scepter is placed. At this moment the whole box was shaking. If the vibranium bones were not strong enough, the scepter inside might have already broken through. Chen Hui opened the box. Wow! Suddenly a group of dazzling golden light erupted from it, and I saw that Loki's scepter had been completely shattered at this moment, leaving only a gemstone exuding golden light floating out of it, which was Mind Gem. Unexpectedly, Mind Gem had gotten rid of the shackles of the scepter's appearance. Chen Hui's complexion changed slightly when he saw this. Feeling the opening of the box, Mind Gem suddenly moved, and quickly flew outside, and the direction it flew was Gwen behind him. Gwen, try to control this gem. Chen Hui shouted. It is good. Gwen nodded, took a deep breath, and issued a control command in her mind. At the same time, the power of the space gem circulating around him emitted azure light, as if blending with the golden light of the Mind Gem, causing the Mind Gem to suddenly stagnate, and immediately suspended on Gwen's body together with the space gem beside, the light converged. Gwen looked strange. As the Mind Gem was controlled by her and echoed with the energy of the space gem, she felt a certain defective feeling in her soul, and it was slightly completed. This is how the same thing. Gwen told Chen Hui about this strange feeling. Chen Hui showed a thoughtful face, fell silent for a while, and then guessed, perhaps there is a certain quality hidden in your soul, which has a special relationship with infinite gems, just like infinite gems are a part of your body, or a part of your soul. They were separated before, but now they are assembled and slightly complete, so they will give you a sense of completeness. As he spoke, Chen Hui showed an interesting smile, looked at Gwen and said, Gwen, do you believe in the theory of soul reincarnation? Soul reincarnation? Gwen was taken aback, then nodded and said, believe it, you can soul astral, I still don't believe it. After learning the soul astral, Chen Hui used it to tease Gwen, so Gwen still remembers it. Cough. Chen Hui coughed dryly. As far as I know, the 6 infinite gems should actually originally belong to one existence, and their source is an extremely powerful cosmic god. Nemesis. Because she is too strong and lonely, Nemesis split herself into 6 infinite gems, so I have some doubts. Gwen, will you have something to do with Nemesis? As he said that, even Chen Hui felt a little unbelievable. Nemesis. That is beyond the Marvel multi-universe, a heaven-defying existence in a higher-level omnipotent universe, and that place is also where the life cord exists. Gwen actually has a relationship with Nemesis? It's shocking to think about it. Me? Nemesis. Gwen showed a strange expression, and laughed along with PSST, okay, my dear Dr. Chen Hui, don't think about it, seeing you like this, I'm afraid you'll have to study me in the future. Since gems can be controlled by me, that's a happy thing for everyone, because I control the gems, which is equivalent to you controlling the gems. I don't care if the 6 infinite gems are one, I just know that I and you are one. As he spoke, he winked at Chen Hui. Chen Hui couldn't help smiling when he saw Gwen's naughty wink. He scratched her nose and said, okay, you and I are one, but then again. Gwen, are you showing your love to me? Tisk tisk, it's been a long time since I heard your confession to me. Look at you Stinky. Gwen couldn't help but cast a blank look at Chen Liaonyos, Hui, what kind of love show, what kind of confession, we are old couples, you think we are in the period of dating at this time? Hey hey. Chen Hui said with a smile, even if you are an old couple, you have to confess your love every day, so Gwen, why don't you confess your love to me every day in the future? Let me feel the warmth of your love. Gwen was speechless to Chen Hui. Okay, my Dr. Chen Hui, don't make trouble like a child, be serious. After finishing today's business, cough cough, I'll give you a small reward. After speaking, she was a little ashamed. That's settled. Seeing Gwen's shy look, Chen Hui wanted to laugh. After rubbing Gwen's head, he continued to study the infinite gems on hand. Chapter 177. The next morning, when the first ray of sunlight fell from the sky, Chen Hui opened his eyes. Sensing the awakening of Chen Hui's bodily functions, Kaguya-kun's super smart butler automatically opened the curtains and selected the best angle of sunlight, making the whole room instantly filled with extremely warm and comfortable light from darkness, and also illuminated the sleeping area. A couple on a couch. No, it wasn't two people, only Chen Hui was lying naked on the couch in a big shape. The muscles all over his body are not too exaggerated, but they are definitely easy to see, showing the most perfect streamlined golden ratio. Even under the skin of his muscles, there was faint golden light, which looked extremely strange. Okay. Just about to get up, Chen Hui suddenly frowned, moved his body, and felt that his bones seemed to be slightly different. How to say? It seems that although his bones were tough and stable, they lacked a kind of agility. Chen Hui didn't notice this kind of agility before, but now, after possessing this kind of agility, Chen Hui felt an extra difference, as if his bones now have 263 souls. It's wired. Chen Hui's heart skipped a beat. In front of him, a vibranium bone condensed, and another vibranium bone split out from it, one after another, and finally turned into a skeleton, which was light golden, suspended in mid-air. This Chen Hui can also do in the past. But now the skeleton is different from the original one. In the depths of the skeleton, Chen Hui can feel that there seems to be a unique alien space hidden in it, and in this space it also contains a special power similar to mind fluctuations. Go! Chen Hui's heart skipped a beat. Immediately from the symbiosis matrix, a group of primitive symbiotes flew into the skeleton of the skeleton, and the power of the psychic fluctuations suddenly seemed to be pulled, and integrated with the original symbiosis, and immediately turned into an existence similar to flesh and blood, from the depths of the bones oozed out, wrapped the entire skeleton. Ka ka ka. There were crackling sounds from the bones, and soon, the entire skeleton turned into a body full of flesh and blood, sitting upright in mid-air, with eyes closed, and a serene expression on his face. Following Chen Hui's thought, he opened his eyes, and the two looked at each other. Chen Hui. Chen Hui. As Chen Hui's voice sounded, the body also made a sound, and the two were almost identical. Duplication, and it's a duplication with psychic power. The corner of Chen Hui's mouth curled up slightly. Originally, his idea of using bones to combine with the original symbiont was to evolve his own shadow duplication technique, but after all, shadow duplication is just a biologically programmed ninjutsu. If you touch it, it will disappear. But right now, the bones actually contain a unique spiritual power, and also contain a unique alien space, which can continuously generate energy by itself. The direct benefit of this is that his duplication will not disappear without his order. And with spiritual power, no matter how far apart they can communicate with the deity, and even use this spiritual power to spread and explore. Unlike the original shadow duplication, there is a certain distance limit. In addition, since the appearance is transformed by the original symbiont, Chen Hui can transform this duplication into the appearance of any person at will. I just don't know why my bones suddenly changed like this, the power of space, mind. This is the CCDJ, power of space gem and mind gem, but these two gems are controlled by Gwen. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed through Chen Hui's mind. The only contact I had with Gwen was the Papa last night. Could it be that Papa can communicate with the mind gem and space gem in Gwen's body, absorbing the power of these two infinite gems, integrated into my bones? As soon as this idea appeared in his mind, Chen Hui was immediately stunned. Lying. Groove. This is too red chicken. Can Papa absorb the power of infinite gems? Big slob, get up and have breakfast. At this moment, Gwen's head poked out from the door, and the dancer held the soup with an iron spoon, if you don't get up again, I will. Hey? Chen Hui, how did you become two? Gwen opened her eyes wide and said cutely. Cough. Chen Hui coughed dryly, waved his hand, and the duplication dissipated. This is the duplication I made with my skeleton, I will tell you about it later when I have breakfast. Chen Hui jumped down. In any case, in the future, there will be plenty of time to prove the incredible idea in his mind. Before, he still had a headache on how to use the power of infinite gems to enhance his own strength. Now, if it is true, he can absorb infinite gems from Gwen's body. If you have the power of gems, then you don't have to worry about everything. After breakfast, Chen Hui came to the R&D center of Hammer Industries. Chen Hui's laboratory, compared to the large R&D center of Hammer Industries, is still not suitable for building brainwave machines, so the construction site of the ultimate brainwave machine is placed underground in Hammer Industries with military-grade security measures research base. Boss, this way please. Hanmer said respectfully, leading Chen Hui to a room with huge amounts of base. There was bright light all around, reflecting everything very brightly. Chen Hui looked around and saw a giant brainwave machine with an area as large as a football field, surrounded by his vibranium skeleton integrated the steel plate structure of the element. Basically every steel plate can be rotated arbitrarily according to his mind. In addition, these steel plates are all degaussed, fireproof, iceproof and corrosion-proof, and can even defend against the power of missiles. Even under the power of nuclear bombs, they will not be destroyed into slag. This ultimate brainwave machine, if Professor X uses it, it will not only allow his brainwaves to spread throughout the Earth, but even spread to outer space and the Milky Way. Chen Hui clicked his tongue in admiration, and said to Hammer, Hammer, open it, let me test it. Chapter 178. The surrounding lights are fully turned on. This ultimate brainwave machine is the ultimate model that was finalized and developed. Chen Hui even used many materials from the Chitaris star battleship, and the main brain is controlled by Kaguya-kun's brain. Drop. Chen Hui plugged in Kaguya-kun's super intelligent brain chip. The main brain controller located at the center of the entire brainwave machine suddenly emitted azure light. Chen Hui walked over and stepped down. Welcome to use the code-named NB 2016 Ultimate Brainwave Machine, Dr. Call. Suck. Taking a deep breath, he said, Kaguya-kun, start the brainwave machine. Okay, King. 11 With the sound of the machine running, an extremely delicate helmet enveloped Chen Hui's mind, followed by an azure blue light. Boom. Chen Hui only felt a roar in his head, and the whole world changed. Due to the absorption of a large amount of magic power, Chen Hui's soul power is extremely strong. Coupled with his strong physical strength, Chen Hui's mental power has also increased. Although it may not be as good as Professor X, it is also very close. At this moment, the ultimate under the boost of the brainwave machine, all the things on the earth appeared in front of Chen Hui. Chen Hui feels that as long as he has a random thought, no matter where, no matter who and what, he can hear and see, which is amazing. However, the main purpose of Chen Hui wearing the brainwave machine is not for this. Kaguya-kun, inject mental strength potion. Chen Hui said. Okay, the potion is being prepared. Pharmaceuticals are ready, start injection. As Kaguya-kun's voice fell, a needle suddenly pierced into Chen Hui's neck, followed by a ball of amber-like golden medicinal liquid injected into Chen Hui's body. Good. At this moment, Chen Hui wanted to use the brainwave machine to perfectly play the role of the mental power enhancing potion, so as to greatly increase his mental power. The amount he used was exactly 3 times that of Gwen. With Gwen's physical strength, he can only use those who are dizzy, but Chen Hui is different, he can withstand a lot of exercises, so how to do it as intensely as possible, coupled with the power of the brainwave machine, is enough to make his mental strength reach a complete level. Go beyond Professor X. After adding this ultimate brainwave machine, Chen Hui will be able to see things in the universe. Cooperating with the cosmic channel he will create soon, he can go in and out of the universe in a planned and regular way. First detect the direction, and then transmit it. This is comparable to creating a universe without knowing where it will lead. The passage is much safer. Ugh. With 3 times the dose, coupled with the training of the brainwave machine, Chen Hui's mental power increased violently at this moment. He growled. And with the spread of the brainwave machine, Chen Hui's spiritual power instantly surpassed the scope of the earth, and went directly to the vast and boundless universe, the depths of the Milky Way. At this moment, Chen Hui felt that his whole brain was burning, spreading crazily into the space. Scheming one planet after another. Until the end. Boom. Everything stabilized, and the burning sensation in his mind subsided. Chen Hui only felt that his whole soul was sublimated. Damn it, it's going to kill me, but it's worth it. When Chen Hui saw the scene in the space of the entire Milky Way, he felt that all the pain and effort he had endured before were worthwhile. It's beautiful in space. In the distance, there are meteors passing by. One after another, the radiance of fixed stars shining from nowhere shines brightly on each planet. Even Chen Hui saw that on some planets, there are some strange creatures, asking for flowers. Sure enough, in the entire galaxy, there are still other biological races. Chen Hui's thoughts circulated in space. At this moment, if someone stands in the brainwave machine, he will see all the outer space scenes that appear in Chen Hui's mind, just like the special effects of a 3D movie, surrounded by surroundings, there is an immersive feeling, extremely magical. Okay. Suddenly Chen Hui's eyes moved. His thoughts were ready to withdraw, but when he passed the moon, he suddenly paused, because he felt an extremely strong breath of life consciousness on the moon. I can't help but explore the past, and I have some guesses in my heart. According to Marvel's setting, there is indeed a group of life forms living on the moon, and these life forms are familiar to Marvel-Inhumans. Inhumans and mutant are very similar, and even some abilities are very similar. But there is one difference. Mutant's ability is carried in the X gene in the sky, and it is a kind of ability. As for the ability awakening of the inhuman race, it must be stimulated by the Turigen crystal mist, otherwise, it is almost the same as ordinary people. On the moon, I remember it is the base camp of the inhuman race, the lair. The inhuman royal family, that is, Black Bolt King and the other powerful inhuman races, lived on the moon. Chen Hui thought to himself. Consciousness has fully penetrated into the depths of the moon. The whole picture turned suddenly, and Chen Hui saw that in a place that looked like a palace, a man in a black tights with a black cloak behind him was sitting upright, with his eyes closed, as if he was doing meditation training. He wore an exquisite fork-shaped antenna on his head, and he could faintly see that there seemed to be a mysterious force surging from this antenna. This is... Seeing this, Chen Hui focused his gaze, Black Bat King, for a long time. Chapter 179. There is no doubt that this man is the leader of the inhuman race, Black Bolt King. Since he is the royal king of the entire inhuman race, Black Bolt King's ability is also extremely perverted. Any word he makes, or any sound he makes casually, can cause extremely powerful infrasound waves, and even when the power reaches a certain level, it can be astonishing. Compared to a nuclear bomb explosion. Extremely terrifying. Therefore, in order to suppress his own ability, Black Bolt King has always been very taciturn. It's okay not to speak, but once he makes a sound, it will be a disaster for the listener. Sure enough, the moon is the home of the Inhumans. If Thanos leads an army to invade again, the Inhumans will naturally not be able to stand idly by. I need to find a chance to come to the moon, communicate with the Inhumans, and find a way to control them. As far as the 810 is concerned, it must be pulled onto the boat no matter what. The Inhumans are an extremely powerful combat force, not only against Thanos' greed for infinite gems. If Chen Hui wants to develop the power of the Earth to the entire universe in the future, then the Inhumans are an indispensable big house. Moreover, the ability of the Inhumans can be used in conjunction with the mutant, and even Chen Hui can study it, copy the experiments that the Kree once performed on the Inhumans, and create the Inhumans himself. It's not impossible. The so-called Inhuman race is one of the two major races in the Milky Way that established a cosmic empire, the experimental product created by the Kree. If the Kree can create Inhumans, why can't he, Dr. Chen Hui? Thinking of this, Chen Hui reseated his thoughts, and remembered the location of the Inhumans' lair on the moon, and when the cosmic passage was created in the future, he would look for an opportunity to visit. Sniff sniff. Suddenly, not far from the Black Bolt King, a big dog came out sniffing constantly, with an anthropomorphic look of doubt on his expression. Tetanus, what's the matter? Black Bat King opened his eyes and looked at the big dog. I seem to smell someone spying on us just now. The big dog actually spit out human words. Someone spying on us. Black Bat King frowned. No doubt about him, this big dog was his entourage. Originally it was also a stranger, but after being infected by the Turigen crystal mist, it transformed into a big dog. But although in this way, ability is not small, has an extremely sensitive sense of smell, and can even track it from one dimension to another. In addition, it also has an extremely powerful telepathic ability, which can take people to space. If their Inhumans want to go to the Earth to do business, the ability of Tetanus is indispensable. So Tetanus says someone is spying on them, 9 times out of 10 it is correct. Could it be a Kree? Black Bolt King roared. No. Tetanus said, the direction I sense seems to come from the Earth TT. Black Bat King's eyes narrowed slightly, and he muttered, speaking of the Earth, it seems that we still have a tribe remaining on the Earth. According to the information I know, the Kree people are about to move again, and I also heard that there was a large-scale alien invasion on the other side of the Earth not long ago. I think our peaceful days should be coming to an end soon. Chaos will come at any time. Tetanus, I will send a few people to the Earth to inspect, master the latest information on the Earth, and recruit that branch back to me. No matter how humble their status in our family is, they are all aliens after all, and they need to return to the embrace of home and jointly resist unknown dangers. Okay, I see. There was a sound of Tetanus, followed by a flash of light all over him, and then disappeared. Hammer Industries, an underground research base. Call. Chen Hui opened his eyes, took off his helmet, stood up, and moved his slightly stiff muscles and bones. This time the brainwave machine tempered, the effect was remarkable, not only greatly increased his spiritual power, but even with the help of the ultimate brainwave machine's ability, he had the ability to spy on things in outer space, which had to be said to be a surprise. However, the scope is not enough. Although it has spread to the outer sky and the depths of the Milky Way, it does not envelop the entire Milky Way. If his thinking can wrap the entire galaxy and travel through any dimension, how awesome would it be? However, on Earth, this level is already the limit. If I want to wrap my mind around the entire galaxy in the future, I have to go to the center of the galaxy and build a bigger brainwave machine. Chen Hui thought to himself, but no matter what, the function of the brainwave machine has been perfected now, and the only thing left is for Gwen to establish the cosmic channel. This is not something that will happen overnight. Chen Hui's idea is not to create a cosmic channel all at once. It is a channel that is permanent, and at least lasts for a period of time. It can even open the door of dimension, and carry out the transmission between various dimensions, such as the Crimson Universe of Mephistocedarak, the Dark Dimension of Dormammu, and some other unknown dimensions, etc. Definitely, the first is to establish the channel between God's domain. Soon after, Gwen also came to the underground base. Gwen, how are you feeling? When Gwen put on the brainwave machine helmet, Chen Hui stood aside and asked. Oh, it's amazing. Gwen was amazed. Thanks to the blessing of the mind gem and the effect of the spiritual strengthening potion, Gwen's brainwave power has reached a level no less than that of Professor X. Coupled with the increase of the 5.6 wave machine of the ultimate brain, it can now be extended to outer space is gone. Even because of the singularity of the space gem, Gwen's ideas can easily penetrate into various dimensions, and establish a teleportation point for communication. In other words, as long as Gwen is willing, Chen Hui and she can instantly reach the Minister of the Universe. But teleportation is easy to do. If you want to establish a stable cosmic channel and carry out dimensional teleportation, it still takes a lot of effort. After all, it is a delicate task to stabilize the space, so there is no rush. Give me 3 days, and I will establish a stable channel between Earth and God's domain. Gwen took a deep breath and devoted himself to the work of establishing the cosmic channel. Chapter 180. Gwen created the cosmic channel in the underground base of Hammer Industry. Chen Hui left a duplication, and he returned to the laboratory to continue his research. The strengthening experiment of mental power is completed, and the next step is the strengthening experiment of chakra. Now his duplication has the power of the mind, which means that Chen Hui's thinking has greatly expanded, and because of the greatly increased mental power, he can carry out many different experimental work at the same time, and he can devote himself to each of them, so he can be in the laboratory. I saw almost a dozen Chen Hui working hard on experiments at the same time. Although duplication is not as smart as the deity, it is also much stronger than ordinary people. In addition, he also called the mutant Guanyin. There is a black hole in Guanyin's mind, and Chen Hui's experiment proves that this black hole can also be transformed into a miniature fixed star through stimulation, releasing intense high-temperature energy. Chen Hui's original idea is to integrate the power of this black hole and fixed star into his own chakra. In addition, Space Gem, Mind Gem, Deep Ruby contains the power of Mephistocedarak, and contains the power of the Trinity Mephistovicinti, the Three Rings, Odin's Blood 22, and the dark magic trait in Moto's body must also be integrated, and so on, so that his chakra energy can reach the strongest state. However, these forces are a bit mixed, and each one is extremely powerful. If you want to integrate, you must have a repressive force as the core, and unify all these forces. As the power of infinite gems, space gems, and mind gems, indeed it is qualified to be used as a suppressing force, but the feeling attribute is not very right. It would be great if I had the power of reality gem to modify all scientific codes and laws of nature, and realize all the ideas in my heart. Besides, reality gem needs other gems to assist in its use. I happen to have 2 infinite gems that can be used to assist in using it. The only thing I need is to get reality gem. Chen Hui kept thinking in his heart. Reality gem, that is, the TIE particles that appeared in Thor2, the Dark World, was once the treasure of the Dark Elves who were destroyed by the domain of God. As Chen Hui could remember, TIE particles also appeared on Earth. But watching a movie is watching a movie. The world he is in right now is the real world. It is not possible to reach the place where TIE particles appear with just one turn of the camera. It's not a little bit. But no matter what, let's try it. Chen Hui thought, let a duplication go out, and planned to take someone to try to find the traces of TIE particles, and try their luck. And after researching the Guanyin who had been injected with the curse seal chip and was completely Chen Hui's person, Chen Hui arrived at the place where Mo Duo was being held without stopping. After being eroded by Chen Hui's monthly reading illusion, Mo Duo's whole body was almost in a state of sluggishness, and his spirit was severely traumatized. Now he looks like the unbearable Jason who was tortured by Stryker, his eyes are not the slightest of focus. Such Modo, to be honest, is not very easy to study. After all, one's mental strength has been greatly traumatized, and basically one cannot cast any magic. Dormammu, the Lord of the Dark Dimension, will also dislike Mordo, a believer. What Chen Hui has to do right now is to use his newly researched 3rd generation of curse seals to control Mo Duo. What the magic power created is enough to perfectly control Modo. Laugh. With the injection gun head electric light flashed. Mo Duo's eyes burst into light suddenly, followed by his sluggish face slowing down, gradually becoming deep, wise, with the color of thinking, and even faintly revealing a kind of vulture. But when I looked at Chen Hui with respectful eyes, boss. Okay. Chen Hui nodded, Mo Duo, communicate with Dormammu's dark dimension power, but don't disturb Dormammu too much, pour it into this special magic power container. Chen Hui took out a strange container that was the size of a fist and looked like a crystal ball. No problem. Mo Duo nodded, followed by the dark power surrounding him, and began to chant the mantra. At the same time, Chen Hui's duplication has started a journey to find TIE particles all over the world. His idea is very simple. Since Jane Foster met TIE particles by chance in the movie and made TIE particles enter her body, right now, if TIE particles will appear, it is very likely that they will still meet Jane. So Chen Hui secretly followed Thor and Jane Foster, the 2 guys who were stuck together all day long and fell in love. Definitely, it is impossible for him to really put all his thoughts on these 2 products. This day. London. Thor and Jane are playing in this city full of retro colors. These days, to be honest, the 2 of them in the United States are completely bored, so under the leadership of Jane, Thor's daily schedule is basically with Jane. Traveling around the world together, don't mention how happy it is. 487 walking with a big cup of milk tea in her hand, Jane suddenly covered her stomach. Thor, wait. Hey? What's the matter? Thor turned his head, saw Jane like this, and said concernedly, stomach pain? I'll take you to see a doctor. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand, preparing to summon the warmer and take Jane to the hospital. Thor, don't be so exaggerated, it's just a little uncomfortable, and once you fly, I feel like I won't be able to hold it. Jane stuffed the milk tea into Thor's hand, and immediately ran away. I'll be right back, you stay where you are and don't move. Okay. Thor shrugged helplessly. Jane quickly ran to a public toilet in her memory. But it was a bit strange to run. I somehow came to an abandoned building surrounded by many containers that looked like it hadn't been built yet. There was no one in it. Seeing this, Jane showed a strange expression. But even though it was strange, the constantly churning stomach made her unable to stop, so her body moved, her heart turned sideways, and she quickly ran towards the depths of the building, and her figure quickly disappeared in it. Chapter 181. In the dark corridor, Jane was walking. It's very weird here, the atmosphere is gloomy and cold, and the cold wind blows from nowhere from time to time, making people feel as if they have entered a haunted house. She is retreating. Woo! But suddenly, a strange wind blew past, followed by all the surrounding doors and windows moving, the garbage, dust, and some bits and pieces on the ground were also rolled up, and immediately flew towards the front direction. Jane's complexion changed drastically. Because she felt that she also had a tendency to be forcibly sucked in. Turn around quickly. But before she had time to escape, the suction force suddenly increased, causing her body to move forward involuntarily, and soon boo! With a twist in the space, her figure disappeared at the end of the dark corridor, never to be seen again. Here it is. With the clear scenery in front of her, Jane looked around, and saw that this place seemed to be a cave, surrounded by rock walls, extremely dark, but in the distance, there was a red light shining brightly. Jane was fascinated and walked over. I saw there was a rock pillar, as if it had been cut open in the middle, and there was a shining red light inside. Here, what is there? Jane looked over carefully. It can be faintly seen that in the middle, there seems to be a mass of red liquid substance, which is constantly flowing, which looks very strange. Jane subconsciously wanted to touch it to see what it was. But at this moment, a hand grabbed her. Jane was taken aback, and turned around quickly, and saw a handsome face appearing in front of her with a smile. She couldn't help but widen her eyes and asked in amazement, "Dr. Chen Hui? Why are you here?" "It doesn't matter how I am here, what matters is why we are here." Chen Hui said slowly, "Jane, I guess you are wondering what this place is and why you came here. Let me explain to you first. This is a different dimension, and the thing inside is an unstable energy substance. I have discovered this place a long time ago, and I am researching it, but I didn't expect you to break in." "Oh, so Dr. Chen Hui, you have already discovered this place?" Jane nodded. Chen Hui smiled slightly. "Before I was still worrying about how to take away the unstable energy substance inside and bring it to a professional laboratory for research, but now I have figured out a way. After I take this thing away, I will take you get out, or Thor will be in a hurry." As he spoke, he looked towards TIE particles. Actually, everything said above is his bragging. The body in front of him is a duplication of Thor and Jane. Seeing Jane leave, the duplication followed the past. He didn't expect to come to TIE particles. He couldn't help being overjoyed. It didn't take much effort, he was looking for TIE particles, reality gem, and it appeared unexpectedly. And how to take it away? That's easy. TIE particles like to live in the human body. As long as Chen Hui stretches out his hand, the TIE particles will automatically enter his body. Right now his body is just a duplication, so naturally he doesn't have to be afraid of the TIE particles boarding him, so Chen Hui stretched out his hand towards the crevice of the rock where the TIE particles were located without any hesitation. She feeling the approach of the breath of life, the particles immediately became active. As Chen Hui's finger approached, it suddenly jumped into Chen Hui's palm, followed by the veins of the body, and penetrated the whole body. At the same time, a huge force rushed directly into Chen Hui's mind. Under the impact of this force, he must pass out. But right now this body is just a duplication, without a real brain. At most, there is only a brain-like control chip that Chen Hui researched based on the brain slices of the Chita Swiss army and integrated with the psychic power. Therefore, the energy impact of TIE particles is of no use to Chen Hui. Let's go. After collecting the TIE particles, Chen Hui felt that his duplication body seemed to contain endless power, and the spiritual imprint inside was also clearer. There was a feeling that he could change the scene in front of him and return to the earth with a single thought. The power of the reality gem is really strange. Combined with the characteristics of the space gem and mind gem power in my duplication, it seems that the strength of my duplication has been directly improved to an unbelievable level. I can actually change time and space with a single thought. This is the power of alter reality. Chen Hui grabbed Jane, and with a thought, the two disappeared here. When it reappeared, it was already, fortunately, back in that deserted building. "Okay, Jane, you go back, or Thor will be anxious." Chen Hui looked at the time and said with a smile, "Let me remind you that half an hour has passed since you entered that alien space." "What, half an hour?" Jane opened her eyes wide, looked around quickly, and touched her stomach subconsciously. "But my stomach, hey? Is there anything wrong?" Go quickly. Chen Hui smiled. But it's just a stomach problem. With a little movement of his chakra energy, he can heal Zio without anyone noticing. Well, good, Dr. Chen Hui, thank you this time. Jane thanked and left immediately. Chapter 182. Chen Hui is in a good mood. It is a great thing to easily obtain Tai particles, reality gem, and then he can use this to study his chakra energy strengthening plan with peace of mind. After duplication returned to the laboratory, Chen Hui immediately began to study non-stop. At this time, Gwen's cosmic channel creation task was also in progress. In addition to creating the cosmic channel leading to the God's domain, Chen Hui also used his own ideas to mark some key places in the Milky Way, and even penetrated into some small in the extra dimension, work with Gwen to create cosmic passages in various places. And as more and more cosmic channels are connected, in fact, some special equipment is required to keep the space stable. Fortunately, Chen Hui has no shortage of equipment. And with the space gem, space power is also very abundant. After the final development, Chen Hui built a dimensional portal in the brainwave machine that connects many cosmic channels. In this way, a divergent teleportation point centered on the Earth, gradually start perfecting. In the depths of the distant universe, somewhere in an unknown dimension, in the darkness, in a stream of meteorites, a deep red glow suddenly flickered. It can be vaguely seen that the deep red glow turned into a silhouette, and finally formed the appearance of a huge space battleship. And as the battleship's energy light shined, inside it, a life capsule with a pitch-black outer shell suddenly opened, revealing a strange elf-like white-haired creature in pitch-black clothing with a pale face and pointed ears. Should be a man. Call. The man opened his eyes. There was a little confusion on his face, but he soon regained consciousness. He looked around and saw red lights flickering one after another in the darkness. At the same time, the life capsules in the red lights opened one after another, revealing one after another, figures like him appeared. Did Tai particles wake us up? The man murmured, his eyes getting brighter and brighter. It also proves that the once-in-5,000-year gathering of celestial bodies is coming soon, and the glory of my dark elves will soon be revived. But I must first regain the Tai particles of our dark elves, CCCG, family. Malkis. As the red glow flickered, the entire battleship started running again, and a figure came from the other side. The hair is also white, tied into a strange braid, but the complexion is black, and the figure is much stronger. He walked over, looked at Malkith, who was the leader of the Dark Elves, and said reverently, I have tested to, where the Tai particles are, in a barren land called Earth. Very well, Algrim. Malkith nodded, Tai particles are in that weak place on the Earth. This is God helping us. When we regain Tai particles, we will smash all the enemies and build a new universe belonging to our Dark Elves, Algrim. Follow my orders, you. He was talking, but at this moment, the entire battleship suddenly shook. This is how the same thing. Malkith frowned and looked around. I'm going to check the fault. Algrim hurriedly turned around and headed for the control room. But at this moment, the entire battleship was shaken again, followed by the closed battleship hatch, bursting open, accompanied by a strong wind. A figure wearing a black windbreaker suddenly appeared in front of the Dark Elves. Immediately, all the awakened Dark Elves picked up their weapons and put on alert vigilance. Who are you? Malkith narrowed his eyes, looked over, and at the same time was extremely shocked. You know, in order to avoid being chased by Asgard back then, their Dark Elves specially chose a hidden cosmic dimension to sleep in, so as to avoid being completely exterminated. But why didn't they just wake up, and an unexpected guest came over? What's going on? My name is Nimel Gobi. The figure in the black windbreaker said lightly. Clang. At the same time, a sword with blue light appeared in his hand. Without a doubt, the figure in the black windbreaker was Chen Hui without thinking about it. His consciousness has been able to infiltrate the dimensional space through the ultimate brainwave machine, and with a little thought, he can find the hiding place of the Dark Elves, not to mention, he still has Tai particles. Chen Hui knew that once the Tai particles woke up, it meant that the Dark Elves who had been sleeping for many years would also wake up. They will easily find Tai particles on the Earth, so everyone knows with their feet that these guys will invade the Earth. This point, Chen Hui definitely will not agree. So it's better to act first. He found the hiding place of the Dark Elves, and then asked Gwen to build a channel to send him over. As for the next step. Hehe, this space battleship is not bad, so I will accept it. Kill him. Malkith could feel Chen Hui's unkindness, without the slightest hesitation, he waved his hand and ordered his soldiers to attack Chen Hui. Immediately, all the soldiers picked up their weapons and shot towards Chen Hui. Too slow. But at this moment, Chen Hui's figure suddenly disappeared. This scene caused all the dark elves to change their expressions. Malekith suddenly felt a fierce murderous aura coming from around him. He quickly took a step back. Late. But suddenly Chen Hui's voice rang in his ears. Followed by a sword across. Scoff. Amid the icy blood, a large head flew up, and Gilur rolled to the ground. Malekith, the leader of the Dark Elves, was killed by Chen Hui with a sword just before he woke up and his ambitions had not begun. He was unwilling, but it was useless. Definitely, this one will definitely not be the only one who died. The entire Dark Elf family is an extremely aggressive race, naturally rebellious, and Chen Hui has no interest in persuading them to surrender, so they can simply kill them all. Before a quarter of an hour has passed, Chen Hui has already killed the only remaining Dark Elves. A part of the race was wiped out, and finally came to the control room, looked at the sophisticated instruments in front of them, and praised them. As expected of an advanced civilized race in the universe, this battleship is not bad, take it back and study it carefully. Chapter 183. After returning to Earth, Chen Hui placed the space battleship of the Dark Elf family at the research base of Hammer Industries, and let Hammer and Whiplash, along with trusted people, conduct research first. This space battleship of the Dark Elves is a good thing. The Dark Elves have been sleeping for thousands of years, that is to say, this space battleship has been floating in the cold and dark corner of the universe for thousands of years, which shows that it is no small matter. Not only will Chen Hui be able to roam freely in space in the future, but he can also develop various high-tech war machines from it. Combined with some invasion weapons of the Chitauri tribe, Chen Hui will be able to increase the level of armed forces of his own forces from Earth level, immediately upgrade to level universe. The biggest function of TIE particles is to stabilize the power of Space Gem and Mind Gem, and even make the power of these three gems integrate. It means to forcibly modify the power of the energy rule. Reality Gem modifies the power of the rule, really powerful. In the laboratory, the more Chen Yu studied, the more amazed he was. Just like the existence of TIE particles, which can create different dimensions and change the gravity field, the power of dream come true in gems can distort the rules wantonly, and then create a kind of wonder. It's like the strange gravity field in Thor 2. After throwing something in, it can fall back and forth from above. This is the ability to bend reality rule. My current chakra energy has the ice attribute of Frost Titan. Not long ago, I used Iceman's X gene to strengthen it, and I used Storm's Wind attribute and Thunder attribute X gene to strengthen my Thunder power, adding the characteristics of Wind in addition, using Pyro's X gene and Loki's mutated Evil Flame, and even integrated the Laser Flame attribute of Cyclops. It also made the Fire attribute energy in my chakra gradually revealed. In this way, my chakra contains the four attributes of Ice, Water, Thunder, Wind, and Fire, but it still lacks an attribute of Earth. If this is the case, I can use Magneto's power of the Earth to extract with the attribute of the Earth, coupled with Guanyin's control attribute of gravity. It is almost a complete attribute of Earth. After all, the power of the Earth lies in gravity and magnetism. To extract Magneto's X gene for research, for Chen Hui today, it is really easy to do. Not to mention anything else, Magneto is no longer his opponent at all, and he can grab it by force. In fact, Chen Hui originally wanted to get Phoenix, Jean Grey's Phoenix Force. After all, Phoenix Fire is the best fire attribute. But the problem is that Jean still can't control the Phoenix Force, and can't even display it, let alone extract the Phoenix Force. So Chen Hui temporarily abandoned the idea. Definitely, the 5 major attributes are not my ultimate goal. The 5 major attributes are just the foundation. In addition, I also need to integrate the space attribute of the Space Gem, the spiritual attribute of the Mind Gem, and the dark attribute of Dormammu's Dark Dimension. And the power of Mephistocedarak in the Deep Ruby, which is a perfect force attribute, and the divine power of Odin, which contains a strange attribute of gods, and these powers, with the distortion of the reality gem the power of rules, give stability integrate, then my chakra will be so strong that it cannot be increased. In fact, even so, Chen Hui still felt that something was not enough. Generally speaking, the most tyrannical and unparalleled power in the Marvel world lies in holding the Infinity Gauntlet loaded with 6 infinite gems and the power of Thanos with the heart of the universe. Buddha, no one can match. But after discovering the strangeness of Gwen, which can attract infinite gems to recognize and use it. Chen Hui has a new idea. Gwen owns infinite gems, which is equivalent to him owning infinite gems, and he and Gwen are indistinguishable from each other. And the existence of Gwen, after gathering 3 infinite gems, she can already faintly perceive the existence of other infinite gems. As long as they appear and show their power, Gwen will be able to find out. In this way, Chen Hui will have the opportunity to extract the power attributes of all 6 infinite gems and integrate them into his own chakra. Asking for flowers. The force attribute of the power gem. The time property of the time gem. The soul attribute of soul gem. He doesn't necessarily need the infinity gauntlet to exert the power of gems. He can completely integrate the power of these gems, plus other energy attributes, into his chakra. In this way, he can forge the strongest chakra in the universe. Strength. It's exciting to think about it. Chen Hui grinned, and integrated all the powerful and boundless power attributes into his chakra. What kind of realm will he finally reach and what kind of strength will he have? Is it possible to blow up the cord of life with one punch? Zero drip. Doctor, Mr. Stark has a phone call. Suddenly Kaguya's voice sounded. What's the matter, Ni? Chen Hui connected the phone. Hearing the panting look of the other party, he said anxiously, Chen Hui, my home was blown up by a guy named Mandarin, and I'm being hunted down now, but it's not important, hurry up and help me take care of Pei. Po, don't let her get hurt. Zizi boom boom boom. As Tony spoke, there was a series of electric current sounds, and at the same time, the roar of missiles continued to sound. It is conceivable how tragic the battle was on Tony's side, and the call was forcibly ended soon. Chen Hui frowned slightly. Mandarin. It seems that it should be the AIM organization that made Extremis. Extremis is also an interesting thing. It should contain a good fire attribute. Maybe I can integrate it. While thinking, Chen Hui issued an order to Kaguya-kun, find Tony's position and track him. Yes, King. As Kaguya-ji's voice sounded, Tony's position was immediately caught by Chen Hui, and there was no hesitation at the next moment. With a thought in Chen Hui's mind, an electric light flashed behind the transparent bones and wings, and the whole person disappeared. Chapter 184. Chen Hui's evolved bone wings contain space power. They can not only teleport instantly, but also perform volley flights. The speed is extremely fast. According to Kaguya-ji's location tracking, Chen Hui soon came to Tony's mansion. The original very luxurious mansion has now become ruins. At the same time, the fire brigade, police, government officials, people, etc., all surrounded the surrounding area, watching Tony's house being destroyed into ruins, and couldn't help sighing. Mandarin, the terrorist, is really abominable. Not only did they wantonly massacre, they even attacked Iron Man Tony Stark's house, blowing it into ruins, ruthless. Chen Hui's figure fell. Looking at the ruins in front of 097, with a sweep of his mind, he found the location of Little Pepper. Holding a shattered steel mask in his hand at the moment, he was heartbroken and worried for Tony's safety. Dr. Chen Hui. Pepper saw Chen Hui at a glance, and walked over. Dr. Chen Hui, did Tony contact you? I know you are his best friend. Don't worry, Pepper, Tony contacted me not long ago, Chen Hui said, don't worry, he is safe now. Tony's safety is under his surveillance at all times. Right now he's sent one of his duplications to pick up Tony. Pepper, I guess those terrorists who attacked Tony might also have plans for you. This is what Tony is worried about, so he asked me to take care of you for a few days, and stay with Gwen these days. Chen Hui said. Okay. Pepper nodded. She also knew the power and strength that Chen Hui possessed, and now she could only rely on Chen Hui if she wanted to find Tony and not be threatened by terrorists. In fact, if Dr. Banner was present in this terrorist attack, everything would not be a problem. However, when Chen Hui came back this time, he directly brought back a space battleship of the Dark Elves. The momentum was too great. Even if Chen Hui intentionally hid it, it was inevitable that someone would find some cobweb traces, such as SHIELD. There was no intention of hiding it. In fact, with the improvement of his strength, he became more and more lazy to hide his identity. No need. Right now, he basically belongs to the strongest man on Earth. Definitely, there is another sentry who has not appeared before, but Chen Hui is worthy of this guy, and once his transformation of the strongest chakra is completed, it can be said that it's easy to abuse sentry easily. Therefore, Chen Hui did not hide the fact that he had obtained the Dark Elf space battleship at all. In this way, Dr. Banner, who heard about it, rushed to the underground secret base of Hammer Industry to study it, so he did not talk to Tony. Stay together. Kaguya, search for traces of Aldridge Killian. After placing Pepper, Chen Hui began to search for traces of the person behind the incident. Aldridge Killian. He is the founder of the AIM organization. Mandarin is just a counterfeit role created by him. The real mastermind behind the scenes is actually him. This is a mad scientist. When he was still unknown, he met Tony on the rooftop, but Tony released his pigeons directly, which made him resentful, so now he came back to take revenge, and vowed to let Tony experience that feeling of despair. In fact, in Chen Hui's view, this is nothing more than a bloody story of an obsessive-compulsive male scientist who wants to be gay because of an inexplicable admiration, but can't do it, so love turns to hate. Anyway, for a playboy like Tony, the stories that happened must be the resentment of the rich. Chen Hui complained in his heart while waiting for Kaguya-kun's search. Killian is not a hard guy to find. In fact, he has been in frequent contact with Stark Industries these days, and with a little research, he can find many traces of his life, and then based on Kaguya-kun's analysis ability, he concluded 3 possible places where Killian is currently. 3 suspicious places. Although Killian is injected with extremis, he has a super self-healing ability, and he also has flame-throwing skills. His body can generate extremely high temperatures. If he is not good, he may explode. But it's not a mess, I should send a duplication there. Thinking about it, Chen Hui thought, and suddenly 3 vibranium skeletons with blue and golden ons gathered in front of his eyes, shining brightly, floating in the air, which is really strange. At the same time, the symbiont that integrated the Chitauri brain chip was wrapped around the 3 skeletons respectively. Wow! After a while, the 3 duplications were condensed and formed. Go to Killian, these 3 directions, after you find it, shoot and kill, and bring the body back. Chen Hui said coldly. What he wants to study is extremis. Regardless of whether Killian is dead or alive, extremis is in his body anyway. Instead of preventing this 4.4 guy from exploding himself, it would be more refreshing to simply kill him. The 3 duplications nodded, and then their figures flashed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After an hour. At the pier, on a ship with huge amounts of like an aircraft carrier, the words Lausanne Petroleum are written on the very front. A duplication by Chen Hui comes here. It looks like this is the lair that most resembles the AIM organization, and there is a high possibility that Killian is here. Chen Hui looked around. Who? Just as Chen Hui was about to enter, suddenly there was a shout behind him, and at the same time, the sound of guns rang out. Chapter 185. Chen Hui looked back. It was a shortcut man with a gun, wearing a leather jacket, with scars on his face, and his eyes looked very cold. He was looking at Chen Hui with a bad look. This is probably Killian's pony, maybe he has also been injected with extremis. Right now when he came to find Killian, he didn't need to be sneaky and engage in assassination, because he was strong enough, and he didn't bother with assassination at all, so when the man with the gun and the shortcut appeared, he yelled loudly to attract the attention of the other people on the boat. Time, he started. Whoosh! The figure was like an illusion, and in the blink of an eye, it reached the eyes of the cropped man, and his fingers were like iron hooks, pinching his throat directly. Click! The neck was broken directly. But the short-haired man did not die. Suddenly, a fiery red light burst out of his body like a crack. With a roar, he shot Chen Hui's head and jumped. Bang! The bullet hit Chen Hui's head directly, but the moment the sparks splashed, the entire bullet was distorted and crooked, and Chen Hui didn't even hurt a hair. His duplication at this moment is not just the flesh and blood of the symbiote formed by vibranium bones, and it is not easy to be pierced by bullets. Hey, do you have any more information? Chen Hui grinned, but in the eyes of the cropped man, it looked like a bloodthirsty smile of a devil, and he was so frightened that he shot continuously. But at this moment, Chen Hui covered the muzzle of his gun, bang bang bang. The whole gun exploded, and the hand of the cropped man was blown to pieces, but the painful stimulation not only did not make the cropped man faint, on the contrary, he looked even more insane. Flame cracks spread all over his body, and the blazing high temperature distorted the air. It seemed that the extremis was about to explode. Boom! The earth-shattering roar shook the whole ship. The surrounding people all looked horrified. They couldn't believe that the short-haired man was beaten to the point of self-explosion, but soon they were dumbfounded again, horrified to the extreme, and saw Chen Hui in the flames. Li Zhong walked out slowly, surrounded by flames all over his body, but it was of no use to him. "Tell me, where is Kilian?" Chen Hui looked at the group of people and grinned. In the eyes of those people, it was like Death God's smile, and they couldn't help but take a step back. But he just took a step back, and immediately, in the roar of who knows, they seemed to be aroused with blood, and charged towards Chen Hui. "You must know that there are many of them, and the opponent is only one person, so they can defeat them almost hundreds of people? Get rid of this guy." Almost every one of these people had flame-like cracks on their bodies, and they had obviously been injected with extremis. Chen Hui showed an interesting look at this scene. "I don't know what kind of effect will be produced if all these people explode? But I can't let them all explode. I save some of them for experimentation. Maybe they can be transformed into existences like desperate warriors in the future." Chen Hui has always wanted to create a multifunctional space team. The Iron Legion is part of it. Mutant fighters are part of it. The army of vibranium duplication is also part of it. This extremis is actually a good thing. Apart from the flaw of explosion, it can make ordinary people instantly possess great strength, self-healing ability and the ability to ignite fire all over the body. It can be said to be an excellent medicine for creating super ability fighters. Chen Hui can improve it a bit. Modify the unfavorable factors, and then combine the spell chip to create a spell chip that contains the extremis effect. In this way, through recruitment, he can cultivate a group of vanguard death squads. Think about it, and let this group of people fight in the universe in the future. It is completely brave and fearless to charge forward, and it can explode itself at a critical moment. It is really cool to give the enemy a head-on blow. Thinking, Chen Hui pressed his left shoulder with his right hand, and the vibranium bone sword appeared in his hand. The same is the variation vibranium bone sword. Moreover, there is a kind of power that affects the soul faintly in it. Not cutting an enemy's body is like cutting his soul, which will make them lose their senses for a moment. At this moment, Chen Hui's body is full of frosty breath, a large amount of icy chakra swept across the entire ship, freezing the people on it in an instant. Definitely, with the high temperature in the body of extremis, the ice will not last long. But Chen Hui doesn't need to last long at all, his reinforcements will arrive soon, and when the time comes, he will control these guys with the spell chip 557 first, and then take them back to study, train, and transform them for free. The Death Squad, don't be in vain. Call. Chen Hui's mental power spread out, and he found Kilian's figure in a hidden room on the platform in the center of the ship, and with a flash of bone wings behind him, he flew over in an instant. Crack-click, I saw a large humanoid ice cube being shattered inch by inch. Among them was a man in a white suit with a ferocious face. Cracks of violent flames emerged all over his body. The raging flames were burning inside, trying to melt all the ice around him. Lose. This is Aldridge Kilian, the behind-the-scenes boss of AIM. Boom. As soon as Chen Hui stepped into the room, the ice completely burst open. Kilian's eyes were filled with anger, looked at Chen Hui, and said coldly and vigilantly, "Who are you?" "Lord Yan." Chen Hui didn't talk nonsense, swiped the vibranium bone sword, the whole person suddenly disappeared in place, and when he reappeared, he had already appeared in front of Kilian, and stabbed his forehead with a sword. Chapter 186. Kilian's expression changed. In fact, with the high temperature in his body and the powerful self-healing ability, he is not afraid of ordinary sharp weapons. Even if ordinary steel weapons touch him, he can use the high temperature in his body to melt them. This is his strength. But facing this sword right now, no matter how high his body surface temperature is, even making the whole room have the tendency of exploding, it is still extremely sharp. His forehead was cut. Wow! Kilian was about to dodge a lazy donkey, and there was a tremor on his back. When he got up, there was already a flat gap like a black seam on his forehead, but no blood flowed from it, and all of it was a flame-like substance circulating. Humph! Chen Hui let out a cold snort, and a burst of icy breath spread all over his body. After the strengthening of the extremis, Kilian reacted well to his ability, but he still struggled in vain. With a kick on his foot, he disappeared in an instant. There was a crack in the air, and Lei Mang flashed, and he had appeared in front of Kilian again. The sword in his hand was fast and ruthless, and with a chirp, one hand flew into the air. "Ah, who are you?" Killian let out a miserable cry. Strong self-healing ability doesn't mean he can't feel pain. A whole hand was cut off by Chen Hui, and he roared angrily. I've already told you, Lord Yan. Chen Hui let out a cold sound, and swiped the vibranium bone sword. Laugh. Both of Killian's legs were cut off, leaving only half of his body prostrate on the ground. His body was covered in cracks like flame slag. The temperature in his body kept rising. If an ordinary person was here, he would definitely be overwhelmed by the extremely high temperature. The burns were even reduced to ashes, but Chen Hui was different. Vibranium bones can absorb a lot of energy. This temperature, plus the power of space gem and mind gem contained in it, this temperature is nothing at all. Chen Hui's face was half covered by the battle suit, with an indifferent expression, looking at the screaming constantly Killian. With a bone sword in his hand, he was about to get behind the scenes of AIM, who had manipulated many terrorist attacks and slaughtered countless innocent people. The conductor was split in half. Interesting person, although I really want to see what Killian looks like when he dies, but right now he is still useful to me, so I can't just die like this. Suddenly a cold voice sounded. The moment it sounded, an electric glow containing terrifying energy suddenly struck from a distance. Chen Hui frowned. For a while, it was a little unclear whether this was a magic method or a technological method. Whoosh! The footsteps were slightly sideways, dodging. Chen Hui was not polite at all. The blade on the bone sword flashed, and a blade vibrating with high-speed particles directly slashed across Killian's neck. Then, the head fell off, completely dead. Kr. The cold voice suddenly became angry. You're courting death. Humph, I'm not sure I'll die. Chen Hui sneered, and his mental thoughts spread out, trying to find out who the person was. Feel. It was a man wearing steel armor and a green cloak. His head was covered under the cloak, and his face was covered with a cold steel mask. He looked back at Chen Hui with a pair of eyes as deep as hell. Look. You also know magic? Can you actually detect mental power? Chen Hui didn't reply to his words. He recognized this person immediately. This person is Dr. Doom. In Marvel, a genius who cultivates both technology and magic. It can even be said that Dr. Doom's ability is similar to his. He didn't have any super ability at the beginning. It was only by relying on his own ingenuity that he gradually gained great strength and influence. I didn't expect Dr. Doom to be involved with the AIM organization, but it doesn't matter, since it's here, let's kill it together. Chen Hui's eyes were like lightning, and his figure disappeared in an instant. Appeared again, already behind Dr. Doom. 10 swords are like a thunderbolt. Humph. Interesting. Dr. Doom stretched out his hand. With the sound of energy buzzing around him, a circle of energy shields condensed and formed. It is a unique energy electromagnetic force field, which can isolate any physical and energy form attacks. Although it has a limit, it can resist Chen Hui. The bone sword is still more than enough. Clang. The vibranium bone sword hit the protective cover with a clang, and sparks flew everywhere. The protective cover vibrated and twisted slightly, but it was not broken. Chen Hui was slightly surprised. He had heard that Dr. Doom was one of the super bosses in Marvel. He was not much weaker than Thanos in his peak period. Now it seems that he is indeed very powerful. With the shield alone, magic and technology, the combination is astonishing to the extreme. Dr. Doom was even more surprised. He knew the strength of his protective shield best, but it was more than Chen Hui's slash right now, and it was unbearable. He knew that this person in front of him was not easy to mess with. Boom! Without the slightest hesitation, he raised his hand and used the most powerful power on the armor, condensing Qian's, to gather a mysterious energy beam, combined with magic power, blasting towards Chen Hui unexpectedly. At this moment, the bone sword in Chen Hui's hand changed, and the bone spurs twisted and rotated, causing the bone sword to turn into a spiral spear in an instant. With a huge force of tons, it crashed down, stabbing towards him fiercely, and collided with that mysterious energy beam. The whole ship was shaken, and dense cracks began to spread, almost to the point of disintegration. Wait until the smoke clears. Hooray! Chen Hui's figure fell, and his foot stepped on it, and an iron mask was crushed by him. Not far away, Dr. Doom was lying in the ruins, his whole body glowing with sizzling electric lights. From this look, it should have been destroyed and scrapped in the powerful energy collision just now. Chapter 187. Seeing that Dr. Doom was killed by himself, Chen Hui did not relax his brows. because he found that Dr. Doom in front of him was just a robot stand-in. Dr. Doom is extremely clever and cunning. As a genius who cultivates both science and magic, he was able to go from being unknown without any super abilities to the point where many superheroes have a headache. The ones exposed outside are all his substitutes. He has a whole army of stand-ins. Okay. Chen Hui was about to step forward to check if there were any other traces of cobweb horses. At this moment, his pupils shrank suddenly, and the flesh and blood of the symbiote all over his body was hit by a strange energy. He couldn't bear it and melted inch by inch. As a result, even the main Chitori human brain chip was burned. Immediately, the entire skeleton spread out, and the space and spiritual power inside escaped and were exhausted. Humph, fight with me. As the space distorted, the figure of Dr. Doom appeared strangely, with a sneer in his eyes, watching Chen Hui transform into a body with scattered skeletons. But the brow is a little wrinkled. Logically speaking, his sneak attack is enough to wipe out a person, so why are there 600 bones left? This bone seems to be a little special. Dr. Doom squatted down, wanting to check, but suddenly his eyes narrowed, the bones began to melt like snow, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the same time, several figures came from the void in the distance, and behind them, there were more than a dozen steel figures with electric whips in their hands, as if they were made by Chen Hui and belonged to Chen Hui. Iron Legion. Snapped. Chen Hui's figure landed on the ground, and on both sides were his other two duplications, a total of 3 figures, plus more than a dozen steel armors controlled by Kaguya behind him. This kind of combat power is enough to sweep most of the super abilities on the Earth team, and this is only the tip of the iceberg of Chen Hui's true strength. Seeing this, Dr. Doom shrank his pupils and exclaimed. You have a stand-in too. Since you have a substitute, then I have a substitute, what's so strange about that? Chen Hui smiled and looked at Dr. Doom, this one should also be your substitute, right? Hehe, Dr. Doom, although I don't know where your real body is hiding now, but since you provoked me today, then I will accompany you to play this game of Dr. Doom, believe me, I will catch you in a short time. Humph, what a joke, you should be just a stand-in right now? Let me tell you, I will find out your real body sooner or later. It's not certain whether we will win or die. Dr. Doom sneered. Laugh. Suddenly, a sword with a blue-gold halo pierced through his forehead. Dr. Doom's eyes widened, he couldn't believe it, in his line of sight, the figure of Chen Hui who was still talking to him, gradually turned from solidity to nothingness, then disappeared, just like an afterimage. Immediately a voice sounded from behind, it was Chen Hui's faint sneer, Dr. Doom, you are mistaken, the one who is talking to you right now is my real body, if you want to come to me, I will accompany you at any time, definitely, if you have the guts. Stab. With a stroke of the sword, Dr. Doom's entire head exploded, and immediately his whole body exploded. This is also a stand-in, and there is a destruction explosive device inside, but this explosion did not hurt Chen Hui's fur at all. He walked out of the flames, received the vibranium bone sword, and ordered Kaguya, start cleaning up the scene. Okay, doctor. Also, let me investigate Dr. Doom, and I will ask for all the information about him in an hour. Damn. CCBB, in a dimly lit control room, a man wearing a steel mask and wearing titanium alloy armor slapped the table hard, causing the entire control room to vibrate. He is naturally the real body of Dr. Doom. He never imagined that there would be such a number one person on Earth, who, like him, had achieved great success in magic and technology, and also had a double, but this is not the key point, the most important thing is that in Chen Hui in the final blow, he could feel how strong the opponent's real body was. Although this person is covering his face, my system can find out who it is with just half of his face. Dr. Doom narrowed his eyes. As for Chen Hui, a mysterious powerhouse, he had already heard about it during the previous battle against Magneto. He didn't care about it at first, but now it made him feel very vigilant. It's too fast, in less than 2 years, it has been difficult to fight against Magneto, and now he can easily crush his double, almost to the point of killing him instantly. Fear. Half an hour later, the results of the investigation came out. Okay. There are more than 30 suspects given by the system, all of whom are extremely intelligent people on the Earth, some are doctors, some are scientific researchers, and some are engaged in mysterious work, and there are more or less shadows of super ability people behind them. Originally there are also some powerful tricks. Dr. Doom carefully looked at the resumes of these people. Suddenly his eyes moved, and a person's information file was called up, with a person's name written on it, and a photo with a handsome face. Surprisingly, it was Chen Hui. In Queens, New York. It should be this boy named Chen Hui. Dr. Doom continued to investigate according to Chen Hui's line, but the more he investigated, the more frightened he became. Even though he had information, it wasn't too much, but he could find that Chen Hui started to attach great importance to the secrecy of his identity, but until now, it has reached a point of indifference. In other words, this Chen Hui doesn't mind the outside world knowing his true identity at all. In this case, the other party is either a fool, or is already so strong that he doesn't have to worry about his identity at all, and as his identity is gradually known to the world, he must have a great ambition that is gradually brewing. This Dr. Chen Hui, don't mess with him. After reading all the information on Chen Hui that could be found, cold sweat broke out on Dr. Doom's forehead. Chapter 188. This Dr. Chen Hui, it seems that if we want to deal with him, we need to make a good plan. After reading Chen Hui's information, Dr. Doom was terrified, but he became even more determined to destroy Chen Hui. With Chen Hui, and the two of them had a grudge, if they didn't act first, then the days to come would be worse. He will not be fine. Drip, he dialed a phone number. What's up? The other party's voice was calm and cold, without any emotion. Hehe, an interesting character has appeared. He is very good at martial arts and extremely strong. I think you should be interested in fighting him. Dr. Doom said with a light smile. The other party was silent for a moment, followed by the cold and emotionless words, pass the information to me, and I will give you the price in 5 minutes, no problem. Dr. Doom pointed a finger, and a secret document was sent. 5 minutes later. The voice of the other party came, still indifferent and without any emotion, destroy, give me $300 million, and help you solve this person. Dr. Doom was taken aback for a moment, and then his face became gloomy. Master Imitation, you are too big to talk too much, don't you? Forget it if you don't agree. The other party simply hung up the phone. You. Dr. Doom was half dead with anger, but on second thought, $300 million to hire a murderer, although expensive, but he just used the imitation master to test Chen Hui's real background and bring Chen Hui some troubles. You must know that the information he gave to the imitation master is only the superficial information of the person Dr. Chen Hui. According to his estimation, it is impossible for the imitation master to kill Chen Hui. Without knowing Chen Hui's true strength, he may even be killed by Chen Hui directly. In this way, the $300 million he promised is basically an empty promise. Thinking of this, Dr. Doom sneered and dialed the phone again. In the dimly lit room, put down the phone in your hand. The master impersonator puts on his signature metal skull mask, closes his eyes, and meditates. Not for a while. Drop. A transfer successful prompt appeared on the computer screen. This was a deposit of $50 million paid by Dr. Doom. As long as he killed Chen Hui and gave Chen Hui's head to Dr. Doom, he could get the next $200 million, $50 million. But the master imitator suddenly sneered. He has a superb imitation ability, can imitate all actions, voices, etc. of other people, no matter how complicated it is. In fact, being able to do such a superb imitation is not only a kind of ability, but also a kind of superb learning, observability. If he can't understand other people's thoughts, how can he imitate them? How can he imitate others if he can't peek into other people's next plan? If he can't see through other people's fake actions, how can he imitate them? Therefore, although it was not the first time that Dr. Doom hired him to kill people, every time, the imitation master would speculate on Dr. Doom's purpose and psychology in order to prevent being cheated by the other party. Dr. Chen Hui. The master of imitation read the information again, squinted his eyes, and immediately called up another information, which was the information he collected about Chen Hui. In the underground market that sells assassination missions, people who want to kill Dr. Chen Hui there are also many, but basically the price does not exceed $10 million. Some people picked up and were never heard from again. Master imitators have noticed this for a long time. Based on his feeling, he thinks that Dr. Chen Hui is not a person to be trifled with, and the information Dr. Doom gave him is just a deceiving superficial stuff. Asking for flowers. It's only $300 million, and I won't miss it like this. If Dr. Chen Hui is more difficult to deal with than expected, I simply give up, or ask Dr. Doom to add more money. The imitation master thought to himself, go test this Dr. Chen Hui first. It is easy to test Chen Hui. With his imitation ability, he can pretend to be someone close to Chen Hui to approach him, but when he thinks that Chen Hui is the person Dr. Doom wants to kill, and it seems that he takes it seriously, he probably has some special means, so he rashly it might be inappropriate to go there. After thinking about it, I finally decided to use others to test Chen Hui. Who is better to use? The master of imitation thought, this person has to be a little familiar with the people around Chen Hui, and he has to be a bad guy, correct? That guy. A smile appeared in the eyes of the imitation master, and immediately dialed a number. Hey, who? Oh wait, although I'm asking who you are, there's no need for you to answer me first, let me guess, I feel the taste of leeks in your mouth, it should be a guy with kidney deficiency who urgently needs to be supplemented. Don't doubt my sense of smell. You can smell your bad breath through the phone. Also, my current number is a black card I bought from a beautiful business black girl a day ago, so far no one knows this number, except me, and then you called, so I thought, that beautiful the black chick might have an affair with you, or it could be you. There is no one in this world who is so lewd as to seduce me by pretending to be a beautiful and sexy black girl wearing net stockings, except for that boring perverted guy who imitates the master. I mean, imitate master you stalker. Imitation master. Deadpool, $10 million, I have a mission for you. Chapter 189. $10 million just want to send me, what? 10 million? Wow, imitation master, UBD, are you selling your sperm again to provide a precious gene for human birth planning? Oh yes already, this may be an overestimation of you, if you want to say whose little brother is the most valuable, it must be my Deadpool. Deadpool was chattering away. Imitating the master's indifferent face, don't forget it. Talk about hanging up the phone. Hey wait, buddy, am I the kind of person who hates little money? Definitely not, but you also know that if my appearance fee is not increased, my status in this novel may be greatly reduced. $10,000 is not enough to show my handsomeness and strength. Do readers want me to accept a task of 323 worth $10 million? I'm afraid they won't be happy with $100 million. Deadpool wrote. The imitation master frowned slightly listening to Deadpool's nonsense, but he was used to it. This guy always thinks that the world he lives in is nothing more than a comic world. A few days ago, it turned into a movie world, and now it has turned into a novel world. I really don't know what this guy is thinking about all day long. But it's not Deadpool if you don't think and talk like crazy. With a cold snort, the imitation master continued, $20 million, that's it, forget it if you don't want it, I'll just delay the time a little bit, wait until the work at hand is done, and then do this task, you won't even get it. Oh, old boy, you are developing me into an offline. Is this the kind of person I am, Deadpool, who will accept your charity because of your words? Well, I am indeed this kind of person, who would have trouble with money. Deadpool said, but after you get your employer's final payment, I will split another half, or goodbye. Can. The imitation master's mouth twitched slightly, and his eyes showed anger, but he also knew that Deadpool was very shrewd. When it came to money, he was even more treacherous than the most cunning profiteer, cheaper than Marong, and more shameless than Song Jet. But when he thought that this might be a trap for Dr. Doom, he had better be careful, so he still nodded and agreed to Deadpool's request. After hanging up the phone, the impersonator sent Chen Hui's information to Deadpool. In fact, the reason why Deadpool was called was not only because the two of them had been in the same team before, they were considered old acquaintances, but also, because he had investigated, Deadpool and a guy named Spider-Man were getting close recently. Although he doesn't know who Spider-Man is for the time being, but judging from various cobweb traces, this Spider-Man is inextricably related to Chen Hui. Humph, Dr. Doom, if this is a pit, you won't have a good life in the future. After finishing everything, the imitation master showed a sneer. The other side. Next to Deadpool was an old Walkman, dangling his legs on a 100-meter-high building to watch the scenery below, looking leisurely. And in his hand, he was holding a pen and paper, sketching something. Take a closer look. Deadpool was finishing his last strokes. On the paper was a self-portrait of Deadpool that was so ugly that it exploded. On the side, there was a stick figure with an arrow pointing at a Dr. Chen Hui. Tisk tisk, actually want to kill this Dr. Chen Hui, the impersonator is really busy, but he just killed an ordinary person, he didn't have time to do it, hey. Suddenly Deadpool turned his head and looked this way. Oh, don't misunderstand the readers, how could my IQ be as low as this second-hand author wrote? How do you know? Ho ho, the smart and handsome Deadpool knows everything. Definitely. Deadpool waved a middle finger, you actually want me to kill the main character Chen Hui? I can kill the person who has the aura of the main character by making a rod? You know, after so long, I'm finally in this novel appeared, I don't want to let my role just a few farewell, the protagonist dies, this novel will be a eunuch, how could I do this? Oh, by the way, this second by author actually said that I am meaner than Marong and more shameless than Song Jet. This is simply an insult to me. I protest. Deadpool, you are enough. The author has blue veins on his forehead, he is about to smash the keyboard. Well, although this novel is outdated, I think my appearance should be able to save this book. Deadpool coughed dryly, actually, I'm an actor, and now I have to get down to business. You said what am I going to do? Oh my god, to definitely complete my assassination mission, I have to put on a show. With that said, he jumped. Suddenly, the whole person fell from the 100-meter-high building. But at this moment, a cobweb suddenly flew over, entangled Deadpool's feet, and pulled him back to the roof. Hey, Deadpool! Spider-Man's figure fell, why are you jumping off the building again? Don't pollute the environment and frighten the citizens of New York. Last time you did this, you frightened a lady into a vegetative state. I haven't settled with you yet. Come on Spider-Man! Deadpool curled his lips and said, I just popped 2 eyeballs into that woman's chest, what's so scary about it? You know I fell into a mess last time, and was crushed into corn by 5 cars cake, there is no one to help me in 2.9, this world is really morally degraded, whether there is warmth and love, this is the most frightening thing. Oh this guy is here again. Spider-Man looked defeated, helplessly covering his forehead, and waved his hand, okay, whatever you want, I have a party at noon, jump off the building if you jump off the building, don't make trouble for me. Hee, actually, I really want to do something. Deadpool chuckled, I just accepted an interesting mission. This mission is related to a person named Chen Hui. Tisk tisk, this Chen Hui is a big star. I don't know why he suddenly disappeared one day and was caught in the stinking water. If a body is found in a ditch, what kind of a commotion will it cause? Chapter 190. Spider-Man paused in his footsteps, and suddenly turned his head to look at Deadpool, are you going to kill Chen Hui? Good. Deadpool snapped his fingers, any questions? PSST. Suddenly a cobweb was shot, trying to tie Deadpool up, but Deadpool had quick eyes and quick hands, and immediately took out the knife behind his back and slashed, the cobweb broke, followed by a kick on the sole of his foot, and jumped down the stairs. At the same time there was a burst of cheap laughter. It sounded, Spider-Man, I know you have some relationship with Chen Hui, but to tell you the truth, even if you know my purpose, you can't stop me. Spider-Man looked downstairs, there was no sign of Deadpool, and the cheap laughter was still lingering in the air, passing into his ears. Damn it! Taking off the mask, Peter showed his face, with an angry look on his face, this guy Deadpool really likes to make troubles. He actually wants to kill Chen Hui this time. God, hey. Suddenly he was taken aback. Correct. He was worried about what Chen Hui was doing. Could Deadpool be able to kill Chen Hui's 22 perverts? No. Peter put on the mask, I have to go find Chen Hui and ask him to be merciful, otherwise Deadpool will suffer. Thinking of this, Peter immediately ran towards Chen Hui's laboratory. In the laboratory, Dr. Doom's stand-in is actually a remote-controlled steel armor. Once destroyed, there is nothing useful except for an empty shell. Chen Hui spent some time studying the wreckage of Dr. Doom's stand-in, knowing that there is not much use value in it. The highest value is that Chen Hui can rely on the material of this double to distinguish whether the Dr. Doom that will appear in the future is the real body or the double. Studying Extremis next. Chen Hui dropped the information about Dr. Doom in his hand, and walked towards Killian's body on the test stand. Although Dr. Doom was cunning and tricky, Chen Hui only put it on his mind and didn't pay too much attention to it. Right now, researching the strongest chakra is what he cares most about. Even if he was accompanying Thor to God's domain, Chen Hui just sent a duplication to investigate a little bit to test the speed of this old guy. Doctor, Peter Parker is visiting. Suddenly Kaguya's voice sounded. Peter. Chen Hui wondered, what is this guy doing here now? Let him in. Okay, King Yin. As the door of the laboratory opened, Peter rushed over, yelling as he ran, Chen Hui, I have something to tell you. What's the matter? Chen Hui turned his head. This guy Deadpool is coming to kill you, Peter said quickly. Chen Hui responded lightly, and then continued to look at the microscope, looking calm and breezy. Seeing this, Peter hesitated for a moment, why is he so calm? Chen Hui, Deadpool, I told you, he is a guy who recognizes money but not people, and he has a super self-healing factor, he can't die, so he is a dangerous lunatic, what is crazy I can handle everything. Peter said, and changed the subject, but he is my good friend, and he is actually very kind, so if he comes to trouble you, be merciful. Hearing this, Chen Hui looked at Peter, not knowing whether to laugh or cry, so, this is the real purpose of your coming to me. You could put it that way. Peter shrugged off embarrassedly. Peter, actually, don't underestimate this guy Deadpool. Chen Hui smiled, this guy is very capable, I may not be able to abuse him, and he is also a smart guy, he won't mess around, and... Do you think that if he really wants to kill someone, he will make it clear in front of you? Although this guy is crazy, he is not stupid. It seems to be true. Peter nodded. In fact, Chen Hui's feelings for Deadpool are complicated. This guy can break the wall of the fourth dimension, talk to readers from comics, and he is the only guy who knows that he is just a comic character. Smell. In Deadpool Massacre Marvel Universe, Professor X reads Deadpool's thinking, and can't believe that he is just a comic book character, so he is shocked, oh no, shocked and turned into a vegetative state. I don't know if the current Deadpool still has the ability 693. If Deadpool wants to kill him, it is impossible to use any other means to succeed, so the only way is to attack from the heart, let him Chen Hui understand that he is just a character in the comic world. Nice, comic book characters. In fact, Chen Hui had already made some preparations in his heart. Perhaps the Marvel world he traveled through was a virtual world that existed in the mind of a certain editor? At the beginning, when Chen Hui thought about this problem, he still couldn't accept it, but later he figured it out. The Great Thousand World not only includes the real material world, but also the virtual world and the brain world. So what if he travels to such a world? Even after thinking about it for a long time, Chen Hui thinks it is quite interesting. If one day he has the strongest power at the limit of this world breaks the barrier of this world, where will it appear? Okay. Just as he was thinking, Chen Hui's eyes flashed suddenly, and he immediately looked at the door of the laboratory, and said calmly, Deadpool, there's no need to plant bombs outside, it's useless, if you want to kill me, just come in. Chapter 191. The voice fell. Clang. The door of the laboratory opened again. I saw a figure with 2 knives on his back at the door, is it Deadpool or who? Whoosh! Deadpool looked at the open door, and the bomb in his hand was not put down. Hearing Chen Hui's words, he was stunned for a while, then shrugged, looked at Chen Hui and Peter in the laboratory, and said, it's really interesting, Dr. Chen Hui, I was worried about putting bombs outside, and it would take a lot of effort to blow up the place, but since you opened the door, it's just right. Saying, hey, he threw the bomb in his hand towards the laboratory. Bang bang bang, the bomb rolled around a few times, and then stopped not far from Chen Hui and Peter. Okay, next, bye. Deadpool picked up a controller, flicked it cheaply, and clicked a button. Not good. Immediately, Peter's face changed drastically, and he subconsciously wanted to pull Chen Hui away. However, Chen Hui was still indifferent, with the thought, PSST, several bone spurs suddenly protruded from the ground, condensed together, tightly wrapped and sealed the bomb. Boom! A dull bang exploded in the bones, the ground shook slightly, and immediately nothing happened. With a wave of his hand, the bones of vibranium dissipated, and the ground was not damaged at all. Wow! Seeing this scene, Deadpool was stunned for a moment, and immediately said, look, guys, this is the horror of the protagonist's aura. Speaking of which, you must think that I will use 36 tricks as the best strategy, right? Keek, what an underestimate. I'm Deadpool, although I'm facing Chen Hui, who is the big guy, but who am I? I'm Deadpool, I once slaughtered the Marvel Universe, what is a mere Chen Hui? So I won't be as knowledgeable as him. Damn, I, Deadpool, won't bully a younger generation, right? So. I'm generous, I don't have the same knowledge as Chen Hui, so let this guy play around and entertain himself already. Saying that, Deadpool slipped away and left quickly. Deadpool, since you're here, let's have a good chat. Tell me, who hired you? Chen Hui said calmly, grabbing with his hand. Immediately, an invisible energy spread out, and at the moment of the spread, there were vibranium bones condensed in the air, turning into a palm with huge amounts of bones, and grabbing towards Deadpool. Damn it! It's hanging open, I accept it. Deadpool opened his eyes wide, seeing the huge amounts of skeletal palm grabbing him. He pulled out the two knives behind his back, clang, and directly collided with the skeletal palm. Sparks flew. However, the composition of this skeletal palm is vibranium. No matter how sharp Deadpool's knife is, it is not as good as vibranium. After touching it a little, he felt the huge power contained in it and the hardness of the bone. Deadpool flew again without hesitation. Back, he really felt the strength of Chen Hui. Abnormal. Hey! Author. It's popular now that the main character is a super pervert who hangs up. You have the ability to let me hang up Deadpool too. While complaining vigorously in his heart, he backed away quickly. At the same time, he glanced at Chen Hui's direction, his eyeballs kept rolling, and he didn't know what kind of idea he was thinking. Chen Hui looked at Deadpool fleeing in embarrassment, his expression was still indifferent. He knew that Deadpool was actually very scheming, and his palm condensed with bones could not do anything to the opponent at all, but the palm of his vibranium bones condensed could be not casually, but wanted to do an experiment. He has integrated the wind attribute into the chakra. Integrate basic attributes like this, but you don't need to use space gem, mind gem, and other powers. You can just integrate chakras directly like integrating ice and thunder attributes. Come one by one, and when you are proficient in using it, you can integrate the next one. The skeletal palm he has condensed right now is trying to experiment with a wind attribute trick. With a low voice, just as Deadpool was about to take out something from behind, Chen Hui suddenly grabbed with 5 fingers, and a violent chakra energy suddenly condensed from the skeletal palm. At this time, Deadpool had already thrown away his possessions. Not a bomb. It was a poison gas bomb. The poison gas inside even contained a kind of corrosive power. Wherever it passed, the air was a purple-black color, and door panels, walls, and some instruments in the laboratory all burst out. The sound of ZZ sounded like it was going to be corrupted immediately. Tisk tisk, Dr. Chen Hui, you can resist the bomb, but how can you resist the spreading poisonous gas? Deadpool's humble voice came. Taking advantage of the moment when the purple-black poisonous gas obscured his vision, Deadpool immediately moved away and hid. Then you can see it. Chen Hui smiled lightly. Poison gas? Since it is a gas, it must be affected by the wind, right? Wow! As soon as the words fell, suddenly from the huge amounts of vibranium bone palm, a group of strong wind chakra energy rolled up wildly, like a storm, and turned into a blue sphere. Tons of spiral pills. In fact, the ninjutsu of Helix Wan, which Chen Hui used to use the bioenergy program before, was extremely cumbersome, but now that he has mastered the wind attribute, he can condense it at will. Wait, it can be said that the spiral pill in his hand will be the scariest in history. Crash! With the crazy rotation of the spiral pill, all the poisonous gas around was gathered by the strong wind, and even infiltrated into the spiral pill, making the color of this huge spiral pill turn into purple-black in the blink of an eye. Very human. Chapter 192. This. Watching this scene, Peter opened his eyes wide. He knew that Chen Hui was abnormal, but he was still a little shocked to see Chen Hui perform such amazing moves. Damn it, FK it, super big FK. Deadpool can barely complain. Seeing Chen Hui's highly poisonous spiral pill blasting towards him as if equipped with an autopilot, he quickly dodged, but under Chen Hui's control, not only one highly poisonous spiral pill condensed, but 2. Surrounded by a posture, it pressed towards Deadpool and swallowed it in the blink of an eye. Call. With a wave of Chen Hui's hand, the skeletal palm dissipated, and everything was silent. The spiral pill that integrated the poison gas gave him an inspiration. In the future, he can integrate the poison attribute in his chakra, and the power will not be small. After the smoke and dust dissipated, a large hole appeared at the door of the laboratory, and black smoke was rising from inside, and Deadpool's whole body was almost reduced to a piece of meatloaf. His head was moved, one arm was bloody, and the other a leg was also broken. But Chen Hui 557 knew that this kind of injury, for Deadpool, could recover immediately in less than a day. Kaguya-kun, put Deadpool in the lab for me. Chen Hui waved his hand. Understood, doctor. Following Kaguya-kun's voice, several robots walked towards the pit, picked up Deadpool's body fragments without missing anything, and brought them into a steel building not far from the laboratory. By the way, the land around his laboratory is now all his private property. He has asked Hammer to lead people to build these lands, not only to expand the laboratory, but also to create a special arsenal, an underground research base, and a portal manufacturing factory, especially the portal manufacturing factory, which is particularly important. It is impossible for him to really gather all the portals together. The so-called 3 caves of the cunning rabbit, it is always good to set up portals in several places. Besides, Chen Hui, CCFF, thinks that he doesn't have to just make a brainwave machine. He is going to build the second ultimate brainwave machine. And in the future, if conditions permit, the file size of the brainwave machine will be reduced after researching higher technology. If a portable brainwave machine is produced, it will undoubtedly be better. Peter, haven't you visited my manufacturing base yet? I'll ask Kaguya to show you around. Chen Hui said. It is good. Peter nodded. After so long, it was the first time he discovered that there was nothing unusual on the surface, but it had all become Chen Hui's private property, and so many high-tech things were built underground, which evoked his deep curiosity. Chen Hui smiled. In fact, Peter's understanding of him is still limited, but right now he is advancing day by day, and his strength is improving every day. As a strong man, there is no need to think carefully on the earth. People close to him, friends, it doesn't matter even if you know all your secrets, especially a good friend like Peter. After dismissing Peter, Chen Hui intends to do something to Deadpool. In fact, let him suppress Deadpool's self-healing factor and prevent his self-healing from reviving. Chen Hui has no choice, but Deadpool is special. Different from the general self-healing ability, it can break the 4-dimensional wall and communicate with the audience. This is very useful for him to explore whether the world is virtual or real reality, so he can study it carefully. Just then, a robot came over with a broken cell phone. Doctor, this is a mobile phone, 60% is damaged, do you need to repair the call records in the investigation? Kaguya-kun said. It is good. Chen Hui nodded. This guy Deadpool will not come to kill him for no reason, there must be someone else behind it. Check this phone, maybe you can find some cobweb horse traces. In addition, Doctor, the shape-shifting factor in the Mystique X gene has been extracted and verified, and it is 80% compatible with the symbiont. Do you want to integrate it into the existing battlesuit? Kaguya said again. 80%, although it's not a 100% fit, Mystique's X gene is indeed a special kind of existence, and it's reasonable that it can't fit perfectly. Let's integrate. Let me see the effect of Mystique ability. Chen Hui said. Okay, Doctor. Integrate for 1%, 6%, 13%. The speed of integrate is not very fast, but it is not slow either. Chen Hui has this patience. After about half an hour. Doctor, the phone has been repaired, and the latest call records have been checked. Do you want to call the other party's number? Kaguya asked for instructions. Chen Hui turned his head to look, and the integration progress bar has almost reached 99%, so he nodded and said, okay, let's make a call. I want to see, who is this guy who hired Deadpool to kill me? Call soon. Hey! A low and calm voice came from the opposite side. And at the same time, in front of Chen Hui, a map appeared on a 3D projection screen, and location tracking began. Simultaneously. Drop. On the integrate progress bar, the progress reached 100%. Chen Hui immediately felt some kind of mysterious change in the symbiote battlesuit on his body. With a thought, his voice turned into a playful style like Deadpool. Hey old man, I think you should send the rest of the money to my account. Chapter 193. On the other end of the phone, the other party paused, and then a slightly puzzled voice sounded, Deadpool, you killed Chen Hui? So quickly. That's definitely, who am I, Deadpool? Chen Hui said. The other party was obviously a very suspicious guy, very calm, and his voice was still low and calm. Okay, see you at the old place, bring Chen Hui's head here, and I will give you the rest of the money in person. No problem. After hanging up the phone, Chen Hui looked at the location tracking screen. The result has been shown. It's not far from him, it's also in New York City, and the location is in Brooklyn. He's a veteran, Chen Hui thought to himself, and he specializes in murder. He's very cunning and calm, so he shouldn't be underestimated. Chen Hui knew clearly about some information about assassinating himself on the black market. As the chief scientific advisor of Hammer Industries, the products developed by him can be said to show the tip of the iceberg casually, which is enough to make the bosses of all parties greedy. Seeing that Hammer Industries is growing stronger and cooperating with Stark Industries, people with a discerning eye can see it, knowing that Chen Hui played a vital role in it. So it is not uncommon for Chen Hui to be assassinated by means. In fact, Chen Hui had encountered many assassinations, but it was a pity that those killers were sensed before they got close to him within a kilometer, and then killed them very quickly. They were all weak chickens of unknown depth. Only this time it should be different. He had fought against Dr. Doom before, and Dr. Doom, who suffered a loss, would never let it go easily, so this time Deadpool's assassination is very likely to be related to Dr. Doom. However, the relationship between Deadpool and Dr. Doom is not very friendly, so in other words, there is another character between Deadpool and Dr. Doom. Chen Hui couldn't help being curious. Wow! With a movement of his body, he left behind a duplication, and followed the deity into the portal factory. Although there is no portal covering the whole world, there is one that covers the United States. The moment Chen Hui stepped into the portal, almost in the blink of an eye, Chen Hui came to Brooklyn. Kaguya, cover the tracking signal and mark the specific location. Yes, Ren hum. As Kaguya spread the tracking signal, the symbiote battlesuit on Chen Hui's body suddenly squirmed, and then two reddish films stretched out from the eyes. Through this film, the entire body in front of him, the scene instantly turned into a 3D model outline, just like being in a virtual projected game world. With a thought, all people and things that are not related to the tracking target are all blocked, leaving only the relevant information of the tracking target. In an apartment 12,800 meters away. After seeing the target, Chen's eye flashed behind his back. Swish! Disappeared in an instant. In a dark room. The master imitator put down the phone, and Deadpool completed the task so quickly, which surprised him a little. Could it be that I'm worrying too much? This Dr. Chen Hui is actually an ordinary person. The imitation master wondered in his heart. No matter what, the voice on the other end of the phone is indeed Deadpool's, and the speaking style is indeed the same as Deadpool's. He has been an old friend for so many years, and he will not admit it wrong. Suppressing the suspicion in his heart, the impersonator prepares to pack up and meet Deadpool. But the moment he turned around, his pupils shrank violently, and he saw a figure appearing in front of him, silently, walking out of the darkness. It was a man in a black cloak, with a sword on his back, covering half of his face. Looking, there was an awe-inspiring coldness in his eyes. Asking for flowers. The imitation master was shocked, never expecting that someone would appear behind him without a sound. Who are you? Soon he calmed down, shouted sharply, and at the same time grabbed his waist and took out his weapon. It turned out to be a master of imitation. Chen Hui has heard about the master of imitation, the famous Marvel villain. It is said that this guy has a super ability to imitate, especially in combat, imitating the enemy's combat routines, moves, and even classic combat weapons, etc. Although he did not originally, what an amazing super ability, but he is a chicken thief, and his superb imitation and camouflage ability also allows him to escape in many dangerous situations. Although originally there is no super ability, but as an ordinary human body, he has already trained his physical fitness to the peak level, and his various qualities are also good, so he can be cultivated as a hand. Chen Hui secretly nodded in his heart. To deal with this kind of person, he can easily get rid of it. However, blindly killing people is not beneficial to him. Instead, he imitates the master. Once he is well controlled, he can do many things for him. First of all, through him, the real body of Dr. Doom can be revealed. Aren't you going to kill me? Don't you recognize me? Chen Hui smiled slightly, the mask on his face turned transparent, revealing his face. Are you Chen Hui? The imitation master was startled. Aren't you already killed by Deadpool, right? Chen Hui smiled, and suddenly his figure changed, turning into the appearance of Deadpool, and then said in Deadpool's playful tone, yes, old man, Chen Hui was indeed killed by me, so, I'll come to you now to collect debts. Chapter 194. The imitation master didn't know that he was played by Chen Hui, and Chen Hui's strength was even more terrifying than he imagined. He was dressed in a black windbreaker, and the strong man who had fought against the Green Titan, he now knew, was probably Chen Hui. Hidden too deep. However, he did not sit still. When he snorted coldly, a cold sword suddenly appeared in his hand, stabbing at the main artery of Chen Hui's neck. The energy shield of the captain shield attacked Chen Hui. Give it up. Chen Hui moved his sword calmly. It seems to be light and light, but it actually contains 1,000 tons of huge force, which is not comparable to the 7 zeros of the imitation master. In an instant, the imitation master only felt his arm tremble, as if he lost consciousness, and the sword fell. At the same time, Chen Hui punched the energy shield. The entire apartment building was shocked, and imitated the master and flew backwards. The energy shield dissipated as a star point. Although the imitation master can imitate many fighting moves, but under the crush of absolute power, any move is useless. He gritted his teeth fiercely, dropped a few smoke bombs, and then quickly fled away. He swore that he would never use this muddy water again, no matter how much Dr. Doom paid. The surrounding smoke floated up, blocking sight, if other people were likely to be escaped by the imitation master. But in Chen Hui's eyes, everything is virtual and transparent. The symbiote irises in both eyes light up slightly, all the smoke disappears, and the position of the imitation master is completely locked. Swish! The next moment, Chen Hui's figure disappeared, and just when the imitation master thought he was about to be safe, he suddenly appeared in front of him and slashed at him with a sword. The imitation master suddenly looked horrified, and wanted to avoid it, but at this moment, a figure of Chen Hui appeared behind him, with a smile on his mouth, and punched him. The imitation master almost thought he was dazzled. How could there be two Chen Hui? Boom! Obviously, he won't know the answer for the time being. When he was hit by a punch, his eyes were full of gold stars, and he simply fainted to death. Call! Chen Hui landed on the ground, picked up the unconscious imitation master like a chicken, and quickly left, came to the portal, stepped into it, disappeared in Brooklyn, and returned to the laboratory in Queens, ready to inject the imitation master curse seal control chip. And not long after Chen Hui caught the imitator and left, the door of the imitator's apartment in Brooklyn suddenly opened. A figure appeared at the door, wearing steel armor and a green robe. Is it Dr. Doom or who? Look at this, the fate of the guy who imitated the master is not very good. Dr. Doom murmured, but it's true, the imitation master is actually an ordinary person, how can he compare with Chen Hui? It seems that if I want to trouble Chen Hui, I have to find a more powerful helper. Thinking of this, he left quickly. Little did he know, the moment he left, in a hidden corner, a shadow gradually turned into a human form, into Chen Hui's appearance. Hehe, Dr. Doom, it really is you. Do you still want to find someone to deal with me? I want to see who you can find. Chen Hui smiled, and followed Dr. Doom. In the laboratory. Boss. The imitation master woke up from the test bench, looked at Chen Hui with a respectful look in his eyes, and looked around himself, showing a surprised expression. This is... At the moment, he was naked from top to bottom, but he felt a strange feeling. With a thought, streaks of metal material seeped out from his bones, covered his whole body, and turned into a piece of armor. Visually, it looks like a symbiosis. For this change of his own, the imitation master was astonished and dumbfounded. This is the desperate armor I developed using Extremis, combined with the symbiotic battlesuit. The armor is in your bones, and you can summon it with a thought. It will greatly enhance your strength, bone strength, and muscle strength. Speed, stamina, etc. In short, you will get a lot of benefits from being my subordinate. Chen Hui said. Thank you. The master of imitation is convincing. The curse-sealed chip can make him submit to Chen Hui, but Chen Hui never really relies on the curse-sealed chip to make his subordinates completely surrender to himself from the heart. That's all. Stand back, and go on a mission with my duplication to track down Dr. Doom's trail. Chen Hui ordered. The imitation master nodded and left immediately. Extremis has almost finished his research, and he plans to integrate it into the fire attribute element, and then add the basic fire attribute power 1.4 to his own chakra, to further strengthen the basic attribute of his own chakra. But before that, you have to check out Deadpool. According to estimates, Deadpool should have almost recovered. Kenchi. As the door opened, in a health cabin surrounded by vast white, Chen Hui walked in and looked towards the corner. There, Deadpool was looking at a book, one hand hadn't fully recovered, it was small, and it looked particularly pink. "Hello, Chen Hui." Deadpool raised his head, and waved his small pink hand. "I think next, we need to get to know each other well. By the way, did you catch the impersonator?" Chapter 195. Chen Hui looked at Deadpool and showed an interesting smile. "Did you keep that phone on purpose?" "That's definitely." Deadpool dropped the book in his hand, and lay down on the sofa with his legs crossed. "Otherwise, you thought I would be smashed to pieces in that explosion, and a mobile phone wouldn't be a piece of shit." "Interesting." Chen Hui touched his chin. "So, what do you want to tell me now? Beg for mercy? Let me let you go? Actually, you are in the same camp as me." "Oh, definitely not," Deadpool said, "but I think there are some things, after you should feel that the whole sky will collapse, and your worldview will collapse, and I may have a lot less drama here, so I do want to tell you in hesitation." What Deadpool wants to talk about, of course, is that Chen Hui is nothing more than the protagonist of a novel, a fictitious character. Want to kill Chen Hui? With his Deadpool's strength, it is impossible to do it, but his Deadpool has already had experience in this. When he slaughtered the Marvel Universe in another dimension, he let Professor X know the truth. It's just a cartoon character, which makes Professor X shake into a vegetable. He believes that once Chen Hui realizes that he is just a character in a novel and doesn't even have a portrait, he will definitely doubt his life. This is his trump card. "Humph, who am I, Deadpool? There is no one I can't kill, please call me the protagonist's nemesis." Deadpool thought in his heart, and couldn't help but secretly said triumphantly. "Oh? What's the matter?" Chen Hui asked curiously. As soon as he heard that the drama would decrease, Chen Hui's eyes flickered slightly. Deadpool is unlike any other character. He can break through the walls of the fourth dimension and communicate with the characters outside this world. Definitely, it was originally Deadpool in the comics. Now he doesn't know whether this is the comic world or the movie world. After all, judging from the plot he has experienced so far, it is not exactly like the movie world, but it is also far from the complete comic world. Maybe this is a real universe after all? Originally, Chen Hui thought so. But after hearing Deadpool's words, he felt that this should be impossible. Deadpool should have used this information as a trump card to deal with him, otherwise he wouldn't be so mysterious. Then what kind of existence is this world that I traveled through? Chen Hui's curiosity grew. "Hehe, do you really want to listen?" Deadpool rolled his eyes and looked at Chen Hui with a smile on his face. "Well, let me tell you, you are actually just a joke, a person who was created by someone else to please the market, and you can do whatever you want. It's just a discarded character. Do you think you are a time traveler? Do you think you are unparalleled in wisdom? It's just an ability that a certain second-rate and third-rate author gave you at will. To put it simply, you are just a character in a novel. Without your popularity and readers, the second-by author may drop you as an eunuch anytime and anywhere, and then your story, tisk tisk, it just disappeared, it is equivalent to your death." Deadpool said, looked at the shocked Chen Hui, snapped his fingers, and said with a smug smile, "Well, by the way, you are actually the protagonist of this book, and all you have now is because you have the protagonist. The halo is nothing more than the halo, but unfortunately, no matter how awesome the protagonist's halo is, it is not as important as the word popularity. Do you know why the superheroes in those comics never die? Especially Wolverine, that annoying guy, because he's so popular. The editors dare not write him to death, otherwise, where will they make money? Perhaps you can bear the fact that you are just the protagonist of a novel, but I regret to tell you that even the protagonist will die, that is, when the book dies, when the eunuch dies, even if you are shaped again powerful, but also useless, because you have no popularity, readers abandon you, the second-by writer will also abandon you, without my hands, you will die in a nest. And I'm Deadpool. Tisk tisk, it doesn't matter, where there is Marvel, there is a place where I survive, hehe. Chen Hui listened quietly. He was shocked at first, and he couldn't add it. But soon calmed down. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile, and he looked at Deadpool interestingly. "Well, I see, so the world I live in is a novel world, no wonder the development of the story seems a bit messy and unpredictable, and according to what you said, my popularity is low right now." Seeing Chen Hui's reaction, Deadpool was slightly taken aback. Immediately waved his hand, "Okay, I know you are trying to hold on, so I will hit you again. Yes, your current popularity is in an extremely low moment. If it weren't for the fact that the author of the second pen has a little conscience, I would replace it with someone else. You have already been killed by the eunuch, but according to the current situation, you should not be far away from being killed by the eunuch." The sarcasm in Deadpool's words is strong, kind of annoying, but it's not unreasonable. Chen Hui fell into deep thought. 387 Fiction World. A. Regarding Deadpool's words, he actually believed it a little bit, definitely, and couldn't believe it completely. Perhaps the world he traveled through was indeed just a fictional world written by others, and eunuchs could kill him anytime and anywhere. But, this also shows a situation: if he breaks through the barrier of this world and comes to the world where the author is, if he moves a little bit, then his ending in this novel world, will there be different changes? Just one sentence: Chen Hui will live forever and become the strongest in the universe, surpassing everything. Then, in just an instant, he, Chen Hui, can become the strongest. Or, if he slightly changes the protagonist's name and replaces it with another person, does that mean that his Marvel journey will become a dream, and he will return to his original Earth, as if nothing happened? Thinking of this, Chen Hui felt a little turbulent in his heart. No matter how powerful the power, no matter how miraculous the science, it can't compare to the ability to create the world with one stroke. Deadpool was able to travel to Marvel's editing studio, why couldn't I? Chapter 196. Sometimes, we are not afraid that the world is not crazy enough, but we are not crazy enough ourselves. Originally, Chen Hui's goal was to become an existence similar to the Tribunal of Life, but after hearing Deadpool's words, his goal changed. He wanted to break through the barrier of this world and go to the place that created him. The world in which the novelist lives. Deadpool, you're right. Popularity is very important to a character in a novel. Chen Hui said, but sometimes, popularity doesn't mean everything. Besides, my popularity is low, not completely unpopular. Chen Hui smiled slightly, just like you have a certain popularity, but you haven't surpassed those hot superheroes. I have read stories about you. Because of the editor's brains, you started to slaughter the entire Marvel. In the universe, no matter what hero or watcher it is, you killed it, and you even broke into the editorial department that created and arranged everything for you. So, can I say this, in fact, from the bottom of my heart, do you hate this kind of existence that manipulates your fate? Deadpool froze. Chen Hui continued, maybe you want to arouse this hatred in my heart. You want to kill me, so you want to forcibly reverse my worldview. For a person, there is nothing more fatal than the collapse of the worldview gone. But you underestimate me a little. Maybe I'm just a character in a novel, but since the author created me, then, more or less, I have some spiritual marks of the author, emotional appeals, for example. He loves this amazing world, so he substitutes me and uses my eyes to observe the world he described. A person's work may be defeated by popularity, but the feelings imprinted in this work will never be. It is inherently proud, and it will never be defeated. Chen Hui said, with a light in his eyes, Kaguya-ji, send this Mr. Deadpool away, and start the Bone Sorrow plan. It's time for this world to face a reversal. Wow! When the voice fell, Chen Hui's figure left, leaving Deadpool staring at Chen Hui's back in a daze, full of thoughts. He suddenly regretted that maybe he shouldn't have told Chen Hui the truth. Egypt. In a dark and deep underground castle, a ray of sunlight refracted down, illuminating a group of prostrate people. These people are dusty and full of pious faces, chanting unknown spells in their mouths. They are praying to the gods to protect them. For thousands of years, there has been a legend in ancient Egypt. In their country, there was a real god who has been guarding them. For thousands of years, he has blessed the prosperity of the ancient Egypt. This time, they are routine prayers. Although the form is greater than belief, as a custom, they must abide by it. The sun shone on the rocks carved with inscription patterns, shining brightly, and suddenly a buzzing sound sounded. Immediately, the entire underground vibrated. What's going on? Everyone panicked. Boom! The rock collapsed, smashing a person into meatloaf in an instant. Seeing the blood splattered, the pupils of the others constricted violently, and they yelled terribly, and rushed towards the exit one after another. They never imagined that they would end up facing such a fate after piously begging for the blessing of the gods. Boom boom boom. The entire underground rock was collapsing, and the underground castle, which had some outlines, was completely turned into ruins in the blink of an eye, and thick smoke and dust billowed wildly. At the same time, a figure slowly walked out of it. I was awake, how many years? The figure murmured, and as the wind and dust drifted away, under the sunlight, it revealed the appearance of this person, with the dark silver color all over his body, not human-like, and when his eyes opened and closed, he seemed to be rolling his eyes, which was weird. Just as he was walking out of the smoke, the man suddenly stopped. Because there is a person standing in front of him. The man had a steel mask on his face, armor all over his body, and a large robe covering his whole body. Looking at him at this moment, a smile appeared in his eyes. Hehe, you are the sealed ancient mutant, Apocalypse, right? Dr. Doom's sinister laughter sounded. Who are you? This person is the oldest mutant on Earth, Apocalypse. Looking at Dr. Doom, he frowned slightly. You are not a mutant, but your body contains an incredible energy zone. Can you call me Dr. Doom? Dr. Doom. Apocalypse frowned, obviously didn't know much about the word doctor. I think you need to absorb the knowledge of today's world. Dr. Doom reached out and threw out something that looked like a hard drive. I think with your ability, you should be able to read the contents of this storage disk. In order to deal with Chen Hui, Dr. Doom did not spend less time thinking. The first thing that comes to mind is the existence of mutant. But the weird thing is, he was looking for Magneto, and as soon as he heard Chen Hui's name, Magneto kicked him out immediately, which made Dr. Doom feel weird. When I was depressed and hit a wall, I just discovered the deeds about Apocalypse. The existence of this Apocalypse, in fact, he has already noticed it a long time ago, and also detected the place where Apocalypse was sealed back then, but it was just doing some observations and detections, without in-depth investigation, but these days, suddenly here there was an extremely strong radiation reaction, so he came here to try his luck, but he did not expect to meet Apocalypse Awakening. It turns out that the world has changed like this after Apocalypse finished reading the knowledge. His expression became indifferent, but I don't believe in the existence of gods, and I am destined to be corrupt. There is no need for such a world to exist. I want to build a truly perfect world that belongs to me. That is definitely, as long as we work together. Dr. Doom smiled, Dear Your Excellency Apocalypse, why don't you come to my side first? Okay. Apocalypse nodded, but first we need to get rid of the crawler that has been following you. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and suddenly a stream of energy flew towards a rock in the distance. Chapter 197. Boom. The strong explosion was deafening, and Dr. Doom's face changed. Looking behind him, he saw that the huge desert rock had been turned into ashes, and a figure loomed in the frenzied dust. Someone is following. Dr. Doom's face turned ugly. He didn't think of this. Someone was following him and he didn't find it yet. Definitely. This is also because right now this is just a duplication of Dr. Doom's, the ability is not strong enough, otherwise, if it is the real body, it may not be able to find the little tail behind it. The stalker is naturally a duplication of Chen Hui. At this moment, he walked out of the storm and dust, with a stern expression, his whole body covered in a black windbreaker, holding a vibranium bone sword, looking coldly at Dr. Doom, and Apocalypse. His eyes flickered like lightning. He did not expect that Dr. Doom would come to Egypt specifically to find traces of Apocalypse. And by a lucky coincidence, Apocalypse just woke up. The only explanation here is that Dr. Doom has already set his sights on Apocalypse, and wants to use this ancient mutant. Okay. Apocalypse looked at Chen Hui with a strange gaze. He never expected that Chen Hui would be fine if he didn't die in one blow, but he didn't even have any injuries. He couldn't help being a little surprised. 570 stared at Chen Hui with some interest. Who are you? In this world, you dare not mess with people. Chen Hui said indifferently. The vibranium bone sword pierced the air and attacked directly without much nonsense. Apocalypse, the big villain, is not very good at talking nonsense. If you don't talk too much, it's better to get a lot of details in a fight, and see how strong this ancient mutant is. Humph. Apocalypse snorted coldly, squeezed his hand, and an energy field turned into an invisible palm, directly pinching Chen Hui's body, making Chen Hui unable to move for a while. And at this moment, Dr. Doom sneered, and a beam of energy in his hand struck Chen Hui with a bang. Boom! Chen Hui flew far away from the attack, and was extremely embarrassed. The symbiote skin on his body was broken in several places, revealing all the bones, but with a burst of squirming, he recovered instantly. Laugh! There was a flash of thunder on the bone wing behind it, and it disappeared in the blink of an eye. This time, instead of coming to Apocalypse, he appeared behind Dr. Doom. After following for so many days, he knew that this Dr. Doom was just a substitute, but a substitute has the advantage of being a substitute, that is, it is not strong enough, and his duplication ability is enough to destroy it. Kang-a sword slashed behind Dr. Doom, and he was caught off guard. A big gash was cut across the guy's back, and a sizzling electric current flickered in it. Dr. Doom roared and turned around to attack. At the same moment, Apocalypse grabbed Chen Hui lightly again, and directly lifted Chen Hui into the air. Fling! Bang bang bang! Chen Hui broke through several layers of rock walls and fell into the ruins. This Apocalypse is indeed the ancient god of mutants, and its power is indeed very strong. A duplication is not enough to fight against it, let alone Dr. Doom. The guy's stand-in is here. Clang clang! Dr. Doom's eyes showed resentment. He took off his armor, and a miniature Dr. Doom, which was one size smaller, came out from his abdominal cavity. He looked fiercely at the direction where Chen Hui duplication fell to the ground, and directly fired an electromagnetic cannon. Boom! A mushroom cloud rose from the ruins. Humph, dare to fight with me. Although he knew that Chen Hui was just a duplication, but even if he could kill one of Chen Hui's duplications, Dr. Doom would still be very happy. A bad breath came out. Let's go. Apocalypse said lightly, help me find my 4 knights, and I will, give you endless glory, human beings. That's definitely. Dr. Doom's eyes shone brightly, but with all due respect, our goal should not only be the 4 knights, but the entire race of mutants. I believe that with the support of the entire race of mutants, you can rule the world. It will be easy to change the whole world. Okay. Apocalypse nodded, raised his hand slightly, and as a cloud of purple energy enveloped him and Dr. Doom, a wave of time-space transformation swept up and was about to teleport them away. But at this moment, a force of space suddenly struck. Pang! Apocalypse's teleportation circle burst instantly, and the two flew out in a panic, falling to pieces. What's going on? Dr. Doom was furious. What do you say? A voice with a chuckle came. This voice is so familiar, Dr. Doom knows it when he hears it. It's Chen Hui. But hasn't duplication been eliminated by him? Dr. Doom, I have to say that your thinking is really naive. Do you think that you can control mutant just by saying it? Chen Hui's voice became clearer and clearer in the dust. Also, the ancient mutant, Apocalypse, you are very powerful, but unfortunately, you awakened in the wrong era. In the dust, a portal slowly closed, and at the same time, a figure gradually appeared. But not one, but 2. One is Chen Hui, and the other is a master imitator controlled by transformation. Originally, Chen Hui sent a duplication and the imitation master to find the real body of Dr. Doom, but he didn't want to meet Dr. Doom to recruit the newly awakened Apocalypse, which aroused Chen Hui's interest. Apocalypse is a good thing. This guy has a lot of black technology, and he has mastered a soul transforming ability, just like the reincarnation that Orochimaru has always wanted, by constantly reincarnating the soul into another body with a powerful mutant ability, and constantly get rebirth. Every time you are reborn, your ability will increase greatly, and the number of times will increase. This guy's super ability has also become more and more. It is simply a great collection of living mutant super abilities. After studying it thoroughly, Chen Hui doesn't need to extract the mutant genes one by one, but directly get their abilities, so that the symbiont battlesuit can have countless mutant abilities in an instant. Chapter 198. I see, this is the real you. Apocalypse squinted and looked at Chen Hui, feeling threatened. Although he didn't know how Chen Hui broke his teleportation, but from the moment Chen Hui appeared just now, and the sign of the teleportation gate, he probably understood that the person in front of him should also have mastered some mysterious power in space. Imitation Master. Dr. Doom suddenly noticed the Imitation Master beside Chen Hui, and frowned. In his opinion, Chen Hui should have already killed the Imitation Master, but now it seems that not only is it not as good as exterminating it, but also a success. Under Chen Hui? From his understanding, a master imitator is not someone who will give in easily in the world. And looking at the Imitation Master, Dr. Doom felt that the opponent's whole person actually had a kind of edge that could make him feel a little threatening. Dr. Doom. The memory of the imitation master is still very clear, and he smiled, "Thank you for tricking me again, otherwise, I would not have the power I have now. I advise you to surrender to Dr. Chen Hui, otherwise, you will regret for life. Do you think we really can't find out where your real body is?" Humph. Dr. Doom's face turned cold. Although he has a lot of substitutes, it doesn't mean that others will never find his substitutes, and with the opponent's ability, it is very likely that even if his army of substitutes is fully mobilized, there is nothing they can do. Once they are all wiped out, the remaining, it must be his real body. When the time comes, there is no escape. Be sure to kill this Chen Hui. Dr. Doom had a strong killing intent in his heart, and said to Apocalypse, "Your Excellency Apocalypse, this person is the most powerful person in the entire world today. As long as you kill him, then you will destroy this world and build a more perfect world. The country will be smooth sailing, otherwise, if this person blocks us, our road will be very bumpy." "Oh, so you are the strongest." Apocalypse's eyes were serious. "I can feel that you have the power of mutants in your body, but you are not a mutant. Such a person must have stolen the power of mutants. The crime is unforgivable. We'll kill him." As he said that, the surrounding sand and dust fluctuated with Apocalypse's thoughts, and suddenly rolled up wildly, covering half of the sky, and the shadow shrouded it, with extraordinary momentum. Chen Hui laughed. "Watching Dr. Doom and Apocalypse is like watching a joke. Since I am the strongest, do you think you can kill me?" Chen replied, looking at Dr. Doom again. "Also, Dr. Doom, I advise you to take good care of your lair. Tisk tisk, it's a beautiful castle, but I think soon, it will become a ruins." "What? You found my lair?" Dr. Doom was startled. "Is it hard to find?" Chen Hui said calmly, and immediately the chakra energy on his body swirled violently. At the same time, on his finger, he wore 3 rings, shining with strange light. Under Chen Hui's spell, they suddenly burst open and turned into a trinity Mephisto. The power of Vishanti, the monstrous surge of magical power, combined with the energy of chakra, directly suppressed the power of Apocalypse. Rumble fierce flames raged in the sky, and the fire attribute chakra integrated Vishanti's flame power was like a small sun. Apocalypse let out a muffled snort, and the surrounding dust rolled down one after another. He stepped back with a shocked expression. Dr. Doom looked even more shocked. He was about to run away, but a flame swept across and engulfed him in an instant, completely annihilating this double. Damn it! In Eastern Europe, there is a small country called Tenavia. This is a country ruled by Dr. Doom. At this moment, in the center of the country, in the antique castle, Dr. Doom slammed the machine in front of him. Seeing that all the screens were blown up, he revealed resentment. But thinking of Chen Hui's words, the resentment in his eyes quickly calmed down. "Come here, send more border personnel, strengthen the base defense, and if you see any suspicious people, kill them immediately." Dr. Doom called his subordinates and ordered. Yes. The subordinates took orders to retreat. Soon a series of defensive measures were launched. Asking for flowers. In this way, Dr. Doom breathed a sigh of relief, but he was still a little uneasy. He stared intently at the surrounding surveillance screens, looking a little anxious. Chen Hui's cold words lingered in his ears like a magic voice, making him almost going crazy. He suddenly felt remorseful. Maybe he shouldn't have messed with Chen Hui. That person, from the current point of view, is indeed the strongest in the entire earth. Even if he goes there in person, he will not be able to please him. No, I have to take some drastic action. Dr. Doom thought for a moment, then got up abruptly and left. On the other side, Egypt, the desert. Seeing the destruction of Dr. Doom's double, Chen Hui sneered. Although he roughly determined where Dr. Doom's lair was, that place was a country after all. He was just swindling Dr. Doom, and after his threat, this guy would definitely do some extraordinary things in a hurry. If you don't move, it's enough. If you move, then Chen Hui's chance to grab Dr. Doom's pigtail has come. Roar. Apocalypse let out a roar. His power is not endless. Chen Hui's chakra energy is not only powerful, but also has no limit at all. Soon, Apocalypse felt that something was wrong. Seeing that his helper had been destroyed, he no longer wanted to fight, and the purple teleportation light all over his body lit up directly, wanting to leave this place. But how could Chen Hui let this guy leave easily? With a cold snort, the bone wings on his back were thundering, and with a twist of space, his mutated vibranium bone sword appeared in front of Apocalypse in the blink of an eye. The teleportation aperture cracked again. Boom! Apocalypse's body shook violently, and spit out a mouthful of blood. He didn't expect Chen Hui's movements to be so fast. He had tried his best to teleport out quickly, but was still stopped by Chen Hui. Wow! With the sword on Apocalypse's throat, Chen Hui said coldly, Apocalypse, next, I advise you not to act rashly, come with me, Wan Wan. Chapter 199. Holy Area. Asgard is very big. The last time Chen came back, he only took a cursory look at it. In addition to the Frost Titan invasion, time was running out, and he didn't feel it intuitively. But now it is different. The surrounding sun is lingering, and the scenery is so beautiful that he can't help but sigh. Turning God's domain into one's own back garden another day seems like a good choice. Definitely, the present him is just a duplication. Originally, Chen Hui sent a duplication here just to be on the safe side. After all, Odin, the old fox, is a god who has lived for thousands of years. Over this guy. Coupled with the fact that God's domain is someone's territory, not only has a large number of people, but also has many secret weapons, Chen Hui doesn't want to be controlled by Odin for no reason. But right now, everything seems to be too much to worry about. It has been a week since Thor came to God's domain. Except for the first time Odin summoned him once, and after talking nonsense with no pain, he left him in the domain of the gods and enjoyed the scenery alone. Although he is just a duplication right now, and some time is wasted, Odin's strange attitude really makes him a little speechless. I can't stay in Asgard for nothing. By the way, I remember that the Infinity Gauntlet was in God's domain from the beginning. Why don't you go find me? Chen Hui thought to himself. Infinity Gauntlet is an artifact that exerts the power of 6 infinite gems. Although it is said that the Infinity Gauntlet fell into the hands of Thanos later, according to the news he learned, Thanos has not had much intersection with God's domain, and the Dark Elves have also been wiped out by him. Now God's domain is very peaceful, Infinity the Gauntlet should still be in Odin's vault. Definitely, there is another possibility, that is, there are 2 Infinity Gauntlets. In fact, it doesn't matter whether there are 2 Infinity Gauntlets or 1. Only when infinite gems are inlaid can it exert its power. It is like a machine that can be manufactured repeatedly, but it must have energy to activate it. Infinite gems is the key, the only source of energy. I currently have Space Gem, Mind Gem, Reality Gem, and I'm missing Power Gem, Time Gem, and Soul Gem, plus an Infinity Gauntlet. Chen Hui thought to himself, these treasures are all things that can be encountered but not sought after. Once you encounter them, you must grab them as soon as possible, otherwise the chance is fleeting, and there may be other infinite gems in Odin's treasury. Thinking of this, Chen Hui moved towards the underground treasure house. 1 week is enough for him to find out the approximate location of the treasure room. In the darkness, as the iron door gently opened a gap, suddenly a transparent fluid seeped in. After completely penetrating in, it gradually turned into a human form, which is Chen Hui who sneaked into the treasure house. Looking around. Mental power spreads even more. Inch by inch carefully explored. There is no magic restriction. After the investigation, Chen Hui felt relieved, there are really enough magical weapons here, and there are also ancient books. Hey, this is a book of magic spells. Well, it seems that apart from in addition to the magic power of Vishanti, there are many other Mephistas in the depths of the universe, providing other magical powers. Hey? God of Olympus, Zeus? And the ancient Huaxia Tian family? Interesting, interesting. Chen Hui looked at it with interest. From these ancient books, it seems that in the universe beyond the earth, there are not only the 9 kingdoms of God's domain, but also other kingdoms of gods, hidden deep in some miniature cosmic dimensions. For example, the gods of Olympus, Zeus, the famous god, have you heard of it? There are also heavens representing the gods of China and so on. These gods are all superpowers of the earlier generation on the earth. It seems that some myths and legends are really well founded. By the way, there really is no such thing as Monkey King. Chen Hui thought wildly. Remember the spatial coordinates of these microcosmic dimensions to facilitate the establishment of cosmic passages in the future. Follow Chen Hui to put down the classics and continue to go deeper. There seems to be no obstacle at all along the way. Soon, Chen Hui came to the deepest part, where there were several exhibition stands, and on each of them were placed some objects that even Chen Hui could not help but gasp after seeing it. This is... The one in the middle is the Infinity Gauntlet, with neon lights flashing on it. It looks like it is inlaid with gems, but Chen Hui can perceive that these are the lights of magic elements, just simulating the infinite gems. Yes, it's actually useless. In addition, a brazier-like object was placed on the booth on the left, and the flames flickered in it, which seemed to be nothing special, but Chen Hui could feel an extraordinary energy from it. The Eternal Fire. Chen Hui recognized it. This flame is called the Eternal Fire. It was snatched by Odin from the domain of the Fire Titan Surti in ancient times. This fire can temper weapons, making them possess the power to destroy heaven and earth. Definitely the power of the flame originally should not be underestimated. In addition, there is a crystal ball like an eyeball that attracts Chen Hui's attention. Because it is filled with extremely strong magic power. It is very similar to the magic power of Vishanti. Is this the Eye of Agamotto? Doctor Strange's treasure? It's in Odin's vault. Chen Hui was surprised. 0.1 plus Infinity Gauntlet, these three are more attractive to Chen Hui, but the good things deep in this treasure house are not the only ones. For example, Chen Hui recognized a super powerful magic weapon Warlock's Eye, and also there is a strange tablet like a stone tablet, called Life Card, which has a unique ability to evolve into a supreme life form. Go and try to see if the Infinity Gauntlet can be removed. Chen Hui didn't naively think that these treasures were just kept there, without many precautions. He first came to the location of the Infinity Gauntlet and observed the hidden magic restrictions around him. But as soon as he took a step, of course he stopped. An old figure suddenly appeared in front of Chen Hui. Chapter 200. This old figure, wearing a golden robe, holding the gun of eternity, white hair and beard, wearing a golden metal eye patch on his right eye, is it Odin, the old fox or who? Humph, kid, it seems you can't hold back anymore. Odin looked at Chen Hui and sneered. Oh? You knew I was coming. Chen Hui showed an interesting smile. But what's the point? I never said that I would stay in God's domain obediently. Since you want to deal with me, why bother to leave me alone? In Asgard for a week, wouldn't it be enough to just capture me? Anyway, this is your territory, so why bother waiting for me to sneak into the treasure house? Unless, you don't want to catch me at all, but you want to get hold of me, so that I can do things for you. Chen Hui said, and added another sentence. Hearing this, Odin frowned slightly, took a deep look at Chen Hui, and then sneered at the corner of his mouth, and slowly said, Humph, interesting, you are really a smart and cunning guy, but it's useless, now you're trying to steal. If you don't want to squat in my prison in Asgard from now on and be driven like a prisoner, you should obediently obey my orders. In addition, the last time you stole my blood I haven't settled with you yet. Chen Hui laughed when he heard this. Odin Odin. Hee, interesting, this guy is indeed the father of God, the king of Asgard, who has ruled the 9 kingdoms for thousands of years, making countless people terrified. The Odin shown in the movie is all kind and broad-minded, ruling the 9 kingdoms with benevolent governance. But now is the real world. Odin has been on the battlefield for many years, so it is impossible for him to be a loving father. It is just a means to rule the country. He is still a strategist and warrior at heart, referred to as the old fox. He, Chen Hui, directly drew a tube of Odin's blood, which was blatant theft. If someone draws a tube of blood from your body for no reason, and your blood is of great value, will you be furious? No doubt it will. So Odin is not really unresponsive to Chen Hui, but has been looking for opportunities, wanting to completely grab Chen Hui's pigtails so that he can easily control and use them. Unfortunately, it is doomed to fail. Because the current Chen Hui is nothing more than a duplication. This duplication is not a magical creation, but a biological science creation. No matter how you look at it, it is a complete person. Without the current Chen Hui, it's just a duplication. Can you still laugh? Odin sneered, gave a slight signal, whoosh, whoosh, the surrounding light flickered, followed by several figures of Asgard warriors surrounding Chen Hui. Among them, there is Fandral, one of the 3 warriors of Asgard. He looked at Chen Hui coldly, with a happy expression on his face. For Chen Hui, he was extremely disliked. Seeing that Chen Hui dared to steal the treasure house of the father of God Odin, knowing that this guy was finished, he couldn't help but feel complacent, so he took a step forward and pointed his stabbing sword at Chen Hui. Humble mortals, don't let me go. Laugh, just poke your damn mouth. Why can't I laugh? Chen Hui's eyes were half closed, and he had no fear of Fondrel's rapier. It's you, Fondrel, a humble mortal who keeps your mouth shut. Try stabbing my body with your sword, and see if your sword breaks or there will be a hole in my body. You. Fondrel was angry. Mad. It's crazy. Not to mention stealing Asgard's treasury, but still openly provoking him. It's so audacious. This damned mortal must be killed. He must be put to death, cut to pieces. There was raging anger in Fondrel's eyes, and he couldn't help but stab Chen Hui's eyeballs with the sword. A triumphant smile curled up on the corner of Chen Hui's mouth. Fondrel, stop. Odin noticed the sneer at the corner of Chen Hui's mouth, his face froze, and he was about to reach out to block Fondrel, but it was too late. When he stabbed Chen Hui with a sword, Chen Hui's whole body split apart suddenly, and the flesh and blood tissue of the symbiont stretched out. Expanding, revealing the pale golden vibranium bones inside, all turned into sharp bone spurs at this moment, like a giant beast opening its bloody mouth. Click! Break Fondrel's sword directly. Fondrel's face changed, and all the Asgard fighters around looked horrified, but they didn't retreat, but moved forward one after another, preparing to subdue the guy who suddenly turned into a monster in front of him. But at this moment, PSST, PSST, PSST. Every Asgard warrior's eyes were wide open, and from their bodies, bones pierced through the flesh and blood splashed, especially Fondrel. There was a bone spur piercing out of his head, in the mouth, eye sockets in the middle. The bone spurs are also spreading. You can see the guy's eyeballs, like candied haws, jumping on the tip of a bone spur, very thin. What? The shrill screams echoed through the entire underground treasure house. Odin's expression changed dramatically, and his eyes became even more murderous. 48 You are courting death. They were about to use magic to rescue Fondrel and others, and at the same time attack Chen Hui, but suddenly, with a bang, Fondrel and several Asgard fighters froze, followed by an explosion, shattering into pieces, leaving limbs and corpses splash, leaving Odin stunned. Hee, Odin, I will remember what happened today. This is just an appetizer, and I will settle the score with you in God's domain in the future. All the bones disappeared with the explosion. The mass of flesh and blood of the symbiont suspended in the air turned into the outline of Chen Hui's face, accompanied by a sneer, and quickly disappeared, but Chen Hui's voice kept circulating in the treasury ping. Odin's face was distorted with anger, and the gun of eternity burst into flames, shaking the entire underground treasure house violently. Father! At this moment, a figure flew towards him. It was Thor. Seeing the bloody scene, his expression changed. What happened here? Odin's face was extremely gloomy. Although he was extremely angry, he remained calm. He looked at Thor, and said slowly, Thor, listen to my order, send out an invitation letter, and invite other gods from the god realm to come to Asgard and say something important to the Emperor. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.